Very good afternoon and welcome to Headingley for Vitality Blast League 2 action between Yorkshire and Worcestershire. The weather is in the early 20s, set fair, plenty of sun, little bit of cloud, no rain to worry about at all. Fantastic to have your company for this Vertu live stream wherever you are across the world. I'm Michael McCann, delighted to say that Aaron Viles is alongside me to be joined up here in the Vertu studio in not too long by Yorkshire President Dr. Jane Powell, and also we'll be getting a guest appearance from Yorkshire's injured bowler Grace Hall at some point across proceedings. And to start with the news from the toss, which has just been completed, Worcestershire have won it, and Worcestershire have decided that they're going to have a bat. Not too surprising, given that this pitch at Headingley has been known for being pretty flat and good for batting throughout what has been a relatively hot summer so far. And I can wish my co-commentator Aaron Viles a very good afternoon. We're set for a good one, aren't we?
We certainly are, yep. Good afternoon, Michael. Good afternoon to everybody tuning into the coverage today, as well as the Vitality T20 Blast returns to Headingley. We had the excitement, the drama of the test match here just a few days ago, and it's always wonderful, isn't it, to see this great competition in town. Of course, Yorkshire looking for a fourth successive victory in this competition. They've set the pace incredibly well in the North Group, and of course, as for Worcestershire, it's almost the opposite, isn't it? It's been very much a difficult start to their campaign, a side who began the season so strongly. They're looking for their first victory in this competition, winless in their opening 3 matches. So, 2 teams at very different stages of the North Group table, but this should be an absolute firecracker, and as we'll touch upon once we see the 2 respective teams, plenty of star power in both lineups.
Yeah, it's a perfect bit of segueing from you, Aaron, there, because we have, as they used to say on Blue Peter, one that we prepared earlier with that North Group table. It is worth mentioning that in the Vitality Blast, unlike in the Metrobank One Day Cup, it's regionalised. So you're playing 4 teams twice, home and away, and 8 games across the group. Yorkshire, as Aaron outlined, in that exceptionally strong position because of their excellent start and the fact that other teams actually have been taking points off each other, and then Worcestershire, of course, are at the bottom pointless. But the elephant in the room also has to be mentioned, which is the fact that the last time the Worcestershire Rapids turned up here against Yorkshire in the first day of the season, Yorkshire's first game in the restructure, Project Darwin, whether it was, we've heard, all sorts of versions from the camp. Amy Campbell just this week called it a kick up the bum that they needed. Her words are not mine. I've heard others talking about the fact that it was a bit of a rude awakening for Yorkshire at the start of the season. The result certainly raised eyebrows across the country. Worcestershire came here and won in the Metrobank One Day Cup by 114 runs. So there might have been issues with a change in captaincy and results not going as they'd like since, but this is a very dangerous opponent for Yorkshire. Let's have a look through the 2 teams. For Yorkshire, they can call on Lauren Winfield-Hill and Stair Callis back in the ranks, which is huge. And so the team looks broadly in batting order as something like this. It'll be Winfield-Hill, Georgie Boyce, Stair Callis. Maddie Ward keeps the captaincy despite Winfield-Hill being back in the ranks, which is interesting because Ward is nominally the vice-captain, but they want to keep seemingly the consistency of her doing the whole Blast campaign. Amy Campbell, Rebecca Duckworth, Olivia Thomas, Ria Thackrell, Rachel Slater, who is almost that football cliche of like a new signing because of being finally back from that wrist injury, Claudie Cooper and Jess Woolston. What jumps out to you from that team?
What doesn't? I think that's the more apt question, to be honest, Michael. Of course, having Lauren Winfield-Hill back is absolutely tremendous, isn't it? She's been playing down in Essex in the Tier 1 campaign, and it is just an icon in English cricket. So immediately having her back, she'll set the tone up the top of the order. That will be absolutely massive for the White Rose. And of course, Stair Callis as well. I was doing some commentary at Edgbaston when the Bears took on the Blaze, and Callis was the player of the match. She comes into this game today in tremendous form, an excellent cricketer, someone again who really lays the foundation, sets the tone well and scores plenty of boundaries. So for me, I've gone very batting heavy, but I think for me as a commentator, I'm looking forward to watching out for Winfield Hill and Stair Callis.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's Stair Callis, because of her associations with both clubs this season due to that loan system, has been quite sarcastically nicknamed the workhorse by her teammates, also alluding to the fact that, of course, as a batter, there is a bit of an old cricketing cliche that she maybe doesn't have to put in quite so much of the hard yards as a fast bowler who, travelling across the country, might be feeling even more strain. As she put it to me a few weeks ago, I just have to turn up and bat, really. But she's very modest about that and really does set the standards. And as her orange sunglasses reflect, will also be seen plenty in action this summer as one of the stars of the Netherlands national team as well. Let's turn our attention to Worcestershire, a side that, of course, have already won once here at Headingley this season, but come into this one off the back of 3 consecutive blast defeats: a 7-wicket loss to Leicestershire, a 15-run loss to Northamptonshire, and a 7-wicket loss to Derbyshire. It's Claire Boycott, Gwen Davies, Bryony Gilgrass, Ebony Jade Tweets, Chloe Hill, Poppy Davies, Amy Wheeler, Olivia Goff, Phoebe Brett, Jess Beach, Flora Birtwhistle is the 11. It's the vast majority of the same side that came here and won in April, which only makes it all the more intriguing as to what's happened since.
It does. It really does make it intriguing. And again, I'm going to point out a couple of names here. I am very much an enjoyer of spin bowling. So that spin tandem of Phoebe Brett and Flora Birtwhistle, they were brilliant in the T20 Cup last season. They've carried on that hot form into 2025. And Birtwhistle already has got 6 wickets in those first 3 matches, and 3 of them have come via stumping. So that's something to watch out for today. Very deceptive, someone who likes to take a lot of pace off the ball, utilise flight, guile and wily bowling tactics. So yeah, watch out for those 2. And then of course Ebony Jade Tweets, who we've actually seen against Yorkshire earlier on this season. She was playing for Staffordshire in the T20 County Cup. She's been captaining the Warwickshire Academy as well. So the fact that she was brought in on loan 24 hours ago and has come straight into the starting lineup tells you pretty much everything you need to know. She's very, very highly touted in the Midlands. So, yeah, 3 names there alongside the likes of Boycott, who's played so much cricket for the Rapids. Of course, Jess Beach has played over 100 senior matches for the West Midlands outfits. And Bryony Gilgrass, who's got that wonderful bottom hand and an excellent shot out towards deep mid-wicket. So we've already bigged it up, but this should be a great, great encounter on this fabulous Friday.
Yeah, fabulous Friday. Great bit of branding for me. Love that. And it's also an intriguing chance from Yorkshire's point of view to get a little bit of revenge. There hasn't been necessarily talk of that in the camp, but I'm sure privately, any sports team, when you've been beaten by 114 runs at home, you would be you'd have kind of the what's the word, the sort of spirituality of the Dalai mind when 2 months or so later they rock up again in a different competition. And just off the back of what you mentioned about Brett and Birtwhistle, not just 2 spinners, 2 left arm spinners who are quite old school. They're not afraid to give it some flight, and Yorkshire didn't deal with that well in April. They lost 7 of the 10 wickets that they lost to that pair. So, and they haven't actually faced a lot of left arm spin in competitive games since. So it's going to be intriguing to see how Yorkshire deal with that. Let's take a little look back at one of the dominant performances that have put Yorkshire in control of this Vitality T20 Blast Women's League 2 North Group, which was part of a delightful double-header from a Yorkshire point of view. Wins against the Leicestershire women's and men's side, and it was the women that got that double-header off to a winning start in Yorkshire's last women's game at Headingley, which was what feels like a long while ago now with the amount of cricket that's happened in between. But it was a very good day to be a Yorkshire supporter on both sides of things. We can take a little look back at those highlights from that game where Yorkshire were bundled out for 127 but ended up winning by 26 runs. So Erin Thomas and Georgie Boyce will head out to try and get the White Rose off to a strong start, day on which men's and women's teams will play on the same day at the same venue. Yorkshire immediately off and underway as Thomas tickles one through square leg to get off the mark, side of the ground. It's across Thomas, and it's given. Gone. Nice looking straight drive. Didn't try and hit it too hard. And lets the hands come through. That will go for 4.
Got 2 catchers inside the ring.
That's sliced, and it's just over the head of point. This is a bit of fortune for Boyce and fortune for Yorkshire. And it does go to the rope, and it brings the first boundary in a little while.
To you as Whitfield comes in again. And that one is hit more firmly this time and hit straight first 4.
So you do have April Harafki as well. As that's sliced by Oliver, who has to go. Very well bowled. Teasing stuff from Roth, inducing the slog sweep. Completely mistimed by Amelia Oliver, who just a second game for Yorkshire. Didn't quite get into the flow of her innings as she might have liked. She's out for 19 off 22.
We have the opportunity to give Maddie Ward the opportunity to captain, which is good for the future as she goes for a reverse and she gets it past that. Well, it would have been gully, backward point, and that runs down to the pavilion.
Full toss, horrid delivery. Boyce might have picked out the sweeper. She has. Georgie Boyce will be absolutely fuming with herself. Well, had that gone to the boundary, might well have confirmed a first 50 in Yorkshire colours for Georgie Boyce. But as it is, Leicestershire cannot believe their luck. She has caught Davis, bowled Roth for 46 off 38. Bowling from our end. In fact, it's Crofts continuing, and that's been smashed out through mid-wicket by Amy Campbell. Her favourite area, and it hasn't taken long for Campbell to get back into the swing of things. Had a commentary box with us last week, a really intelligent cricketer. That's swung straight up, though, trying to go over mid-off, and Campbell's gone. Crofts is back for a third. And Crofts has got it. Decent glove work from Ellen Watson. She makes that look very easy, and it's not. Standing up to a medium pacer with...
And that's the luck you take there. You see, she just got the outside edge on it and it rolls away very quickly down the hill.
And this is tough for Ria Fackrell. So this is only her second innings for Yorkshire this season. She made...
At the moment, she's doing very well
Fackrell
standing up, but Fackrell steps across and just ramps that down for 4 runs.
Yeah, this is really intelligent batting from Ria Fackrell. She realises the situation. Yorkshire need her to go through the gears. That's straight at point. That could well be a run out. It will be a run out. So Duckworth is gone. There's confusion. Fackrell set off very, very early. Off the outside edge. And Cooper might
run away.
It will on this very quick outfield. So
she looked a little bit surprised underneath us, but she held on to it really solidly.
Cooper sliced that. Straight at extra cover. Cheeky, exuberant character. Plays a club cricket for Kirk Dighton. This is going to be something by the flash of frustration from wicketkeeper Watson. Oops, comes in again. And that could be the end of the innings. It is. Neat stumping from Watson. Chase for a tough second half to this game, I should say, for Yorkshire, who want to... Bounce ball, the first ball of the innings to the danger Yorkshire this season. That's away. That could be a boundary. It will be a boundary for Sweet, who's taken the time early doors here. Has had a lot more dot balls than you'd often associate with an innings from Francesca Sweet. But those are the little half chances Yorkshire need to take at the moment. Oh, and Thomas has got her next ball. So an immediate impact from Olivia Thomas, a mis-stumping from the first delivery, and a hug of relief with Maddie Ward after her second delivery. An end up here for Yorkshire. So Ria Fackrell is on, and Ria Fackrell has a wicket with her first ball. Gone. Another wicket. It's Brooker who's out. Fackrell has her second. And the Foxes captain is gone.
Thomas, mackerel, and suddenly you're minimising the number of overs that others get as Garton comes on now from the Howard stand end, and that's a reverse paddle type shot which is running down to the boundary, chased, but the ball wins
at some point, and you probably don't want her bowling at the death. That's short, and Watson wants a quick single. Surely it's going to be a run out. It will be.
Boundary.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I mean, he had partially presumed that having gone over the fielder's head, it was 6, but yeah, it wasn't actually quite out there. Now, Ward is going to have a conversation with Olivia Thomas. But that fielder remains 5 in, which does happen sometimes. So maybe was actually not meant to be right on the rope after all. Weston is on a roll here. She's hit 15 runs from her last 5 balls faced. She's decided this is her moment to go. And Weston goes again, might have picked out deep mid-wicket, is caught! Massive moment, caught by Erin Thomas.
It's a real tough one to get, but when you don't get in the right area, and they've gone for
Could be run out.
This is a run out. That was a silly run out.
For a spinner in the rain. And Cooper's being smeared away into the onside and taken by Fackrell calmly out at deep mid-wicket. Oh, and is that gone as well? It is. Smart work behind the stumps from Ward. It's a first ball duck for Whitfield. Short and off the outside edge. 4 runs. Bit of luck.
Fielders. And there's another chance.
Well, this surely will be out. Cooper takes the catch. It's a first Yorkshire wicket for the young leg spinner Holly Garton. What a moment for the talented teenager. Cooper was never dropping that. Yorkshire are 1 away from victory now.
Wide and no balls for them not to win this game now.
Been ruthless with the ball and in the field from Yorkshire. And speaking of ruthless, Yorkshire have finished it off in style. So 101 all out, and Yorkshire, having under-delivered with the bat in truth, have performed superbly with the ball and in the field. It is finished off by Woolston and Ward, and Yorkshire win by 26 runs in a low-scoring thriller to start this double-header at Headingley. Yorkshire make it 2 wins from 2 in the Blast, so stay unbeaten with 6 more group games to go as they target a top 2 spot in the North Group and a space in finals day. So far on that journey, Maddie Ward's side are doing what is needed to be right in the shake-up.
Yeah, good. In the end, a good performance from Yorkshire. They certainly will be disappointed with the bat, but the way that they stuck at it, and the 2 key wickets that were caught deep mid-wicket on both occasions really changed this game, and that was Sweet and Weston, the 2 that really started to get going, and certainly the 6 that was hit was one of the sweetest shots of the game. So a really good performance, and Leicestershire will be a little bit more encouraged by their batting performance, the way that they're starting to hit the ball a bit more than they have done in the past. But all credit to the Yorkshire girls. Well played to them for just finishing that off, winning easily in the end by 27 runs.
Yeah, so from a difficult position, Yorkshire pull it round. Georgie Boyce won player of the match for her 46 in a low-scoring game. It's great to see the women's teams getting a decent ovation as they head off. And all the bowlers deserve credit for Yorkshire, because you can't defend 127 all out that comfortably without a good collective effort. Cooper 2 for 17, Woolston 2 for 17, Garton 1 for 20.
Vertu, official partner of Yorkshire County Cricket Club.
So, as we saw there, a very, very impressive victory for Yorkshire, which extended that winning streak to 3 in a row in this competition. It's been a red-hot start to the Vitality T20 Blast campaign, and Yorkshire, of course, will be hoping to maintain that red-hot streak heading into this game against Worcestershire today. And speaking of the game today, then, let's take a little bit of a closer look at one player that will be keeping very close tabs on, and I think we were pretty much in unison here in the commentary box. It had to be Rachel Slater. It's wonderful to see Rachel back. Of course, she had that injury which kept her out for a large chunk of the early season. Back bowling well, getting wickets and being dangerous as you'd expect, especially with that new ball in hand. I mean, she will play a massive, massive role in this one today, getting Yorkshire off to a good start. And yeah, already having 18 wickets at an average of 26.3 for Scotland in international cricket. Of course, she represented them in the 2024 T20 World Cup, and you can see there on your screen her return to Yorkshire colours, 2 for 19 against the Derbyshire Falcons in what was a mightily impressive display from Rachel. She will definitely have a large role to play in this match today. So I want to watch for the Yorkshire versus Worcestershire game is Rachel Slater, and of course plenty more players to watch out for on a wider scale today. We've spoken already about Lauren Winfield-Hill coming back into that 11, the only change from the last game against Derbyshire. And of course it's always great to see Stair Callis, the Dutch international, who always provides the entertainment.
Yeah, just jumping back to Rachel Slater though, I think she'll be I know she's absolutely chuffed to be back out there. She very kindly joined us up in the commentary box a few times, and I could see why Richard Pyra, Yorkshire's head coach, talked about her being almost a coach on the field and someone who thinks and talks about the game like a 35-year-old veteran, which for someone who's 23 is kind of ridiculous. And as highlighted there, her Scotland experience. There's a blog she did on the website that's well worth a look, where she talked about her injury return, her Yorkshire projection, her Yorkshire progression, and also her hopes for the World Cup, which of course is going to be here in 2026. And depending on not only if Scotland qualify, but the combination of how they qualify, she could well be playing here for Scotland in a World Cup game at Headingley, which, given Rachel Slater's background, Scottish international, Scottish born mum, raised in Leeds, that would be a fantastic story.
It would. It'd be a full circle moment, wouldn't it? And it'd be great as well, wouldn't it, for Scotland as well, if they are to qualify for that World Cup. Everybody's looking forward to that competition next year, so very much happy to see if Rachel and the Scottish team can do that. And of course, our attention for now is against the Worcestershire Rapids. And a little bit earlier on, my co-commentator Michael McCann was out there to take a look at the pitch. Here's what he had to say.
Well, welcome to the middle here at Headingley for a little pitch report. Behind us you can see the track that was praised globally for the England versus India first men's test match that finished. Well, welcome to the middle here at Headingley for a little pitch report. Behind us you can see the track that was praised globally for the England versus India first men's test match that finished.
Apologies, a couple of technical gremlins in our system. So we don't have that pitch report for you. So instead I can give you the pitch report rather than it being one from a little earlier. It's going to really surprise you, this is a piece of information. But it's a pretty flat pitch here at Headingley. Who would have guessed, with the almost West Indian level of sunshine that we've had this summer compared to how awful last summer was. This pitch has been beautifully manicured, pedicured, tucked up and read a bedtime story, while all the chaos of the test match pitch, which you'll see just to the left of it on our live stream coverage, was going on between England and India men, which only finished on Tuesday night. This pitch was just a few yards away, taking in the action, having a look. It's had one T20 game on it all season. That's it. It's pretty fresh. There is a little bit of a slope, as you always get with Headingley. There's a shorter boundary hitting towards the western terrace than the eastern side of the ground. You're talking about roughly a 10-metre difference in terms of boundary size. The grass itself is pretty thin. It's live grass, but it's pretty short, and it's nothing that really should be overly troubling. So I'm not too surprised that Worcestershire have won the toss and chosen to have a bat, and I would gently speculate that Yorkshire would have looked to do the exact same thing. The Worcestershire Rapids openers are out there now. Gwen Davies and the captain, Claire Boycott, who will look to set the tone. We're going to see, I would imagine, across most of this game, more spin bowled from the Howard stand end when there's right-handers in, because you've got a long boundary for the hit out towards mid-wicket. But for now, it's some lefty-on-lefty action, because Rachel Slater is to bowl the first ball of the game to Gwen Davies. Deep square leg and a very deep cover, who's so far away she's almost in a different planet, Rear Thackrell. So that's off the inside edge. Nice start by Slater. 2 for 19 off 2 for Slater from her couple of overs in the game against Derbyshire. But ever the professional that she is, we might have been praising her bowling, but she was talking it down. She said she didn't actually bowl quite as tightly as she would like in the power play. She was looking at the fact she'd gone for 19 off 2, not the 2 wickets she picked up. Keeper standing up, and that's not a fun one for the keeper standing up. That's very nicely stopped by Wardaway down the leg side to make sure it's only 1 wide from the first run of the innings. Great to welcome in the Headingley sunshine one of the ever-present near members of our commentary box batting lineup on the Vertu live stream this season, which I will finish off after this ball. That's guided out to point by Davis. Still no run off the bat yet. Coming in at number 3 for us today, the former England captain, Dr. Jane Powell.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here. 3 was my batting position, so it makes sense that I come in at number 3. I feel comfortable coming in at number 3. It's wonderful to see the wicket that's being used, the pitch that's being used today, as Slater comes in again. Another dot ball.
Pushed out to mid-off. What a joy it is for Yorkshire fans and Scottish fans and also cricket fans to see Rachel Slater back doing her thing.
I mean, the number of times I used to say to her, how are you going? And she's going, I'm all right. And it's not my bowling hand. So I can still keep fit and I can still do everything. And she worked incredibly hard on her rehab, so I'm delighted to see that she's getting a run now and getting in the wickets as well.
Slater a little short, pulled away. Good tumbling stop at short fine leg by Stair Callis. Ensures that apart from that wide, it's an over that's built 4 dots now, all to Slater's name.
Yeah, and that's the sort of fielding that as a bowler, when you just drop one a little bit wayward, you're just so grateful that you've got a fielder of the calibre of Stair Callis there to stop that one, because that had 4 written all over it. But instead it's a dot.
Slater short again, short with a little bit more venom in the delivery.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether that was a slower ball, because it looked like Davies had swung before it got to her, so be interesting to see that one.
Do you know, I think you might be right. I think it actually might have been a little bit of tennis ball bounce.
Yeah.
One of those. Slater looking to close out what's been a very good first over.
Just see it on this replay.
Yeah, you're right. That's why. And so that's nicely bowled by Slater again. End of the first over, 1 without loss. That's why Dr. Jane Powell once upon a time scored a test ton for England, and yours truly just about gets in the Saturday 4s in terms of being able to pick a very clever change up from Rachel Slater, even from where we are up here in the 4th floor of the pavilion, up in the magnificent Vertu studio.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have picked it up down there, but it was just that Davis swung before the ball reached her was the reason that I thought that must have been slightly slower from Slater. But what a great over, just the one wide off that. So in a 20 over game, when you've managed to keep the opposition down to one run in the first over, you're breathing a big sigh of relief, and you just want to keep that going as Woolston comes on from the pavilion end.
Yeah, these two who have both had long spells out injured for Yorkshire this season and come in as almost the cricket equivalent of signing a couple of players in the January transfer window, such as their timely return to Yorkshire colours. Woolston charging in. That's a nice flowing drive, but straight at backward point, so we're still yet to see a run off the bat today. Claire Boycott, Worcestershire's leading blast run scorer so far with 79 runs in 3 games. It's been the batting that's been the big issue for the Worcestershire Rapids. So whilst they'll look at this flat pitch as an opportunity, winning the toss and choosing to bat does also put pressure on a batting lineup that haven't been quite functioning as they would like. Good areas again from Woolston, and it is 8 dots now to go with a wide. We are getting very quickly into what I might colloquially term something's got to happen here. You're getting towards the point where it feels almost inevitable that a boundary or a wicket is going to follow.
Yeah, well, as the batter, you've got to say to yourself, I've got to score, I've got to get some runs. So whether I'm working that for singles or hitting boundaries, but at the moment, nothing off the bat after 8 balls.
It's a little short. Lovely shot from Boycott. It's the long boundary, but she won't have to move for that. A 4-through point for Boycott is, of course, Fraser's piece of cricketing commentary at Headingley that you would normally not associate with a visiting player scoring runs against Yorkshire, but it is Claire Boycott, the Worcestershire Rapids captain, who has been a dependable performer for the Rapids with the bat, who gets the first boundary of the innings.
And Boycott's height, this Boycott's height, would suggest that she's going to want to play square of the wicket. So as a bowler, you've got to say to yourself, can't drop it short or wide, because anything short or wide will open up those scoring shots for Boycott here.
Straight drive, nice looking straight drive, well fielded by Woolston off her own bowling.
And that's a good reply there from Woolston, because you get the ball up a little bit further and Boycott's going to have to drive, and you've got the field set with a mid-off, mid-on, a cover and a mid-wicket that are fairly straight. So she's going to struggle to pierce that field. So Jess Woolston will be hoping to bowl that same ball again.
Woolston just losing a line a little in trying to hang a teaser outside the off stump. Second wide of the innings, one from each of the opening bowlers.
Yeah, it's interesting T20, isn't it? Because you want a wide Yorker is one of the most difficult balls to score off, but it's also probably the most difficult ball to bowl. So I think Jess was trying to bowl that one there, and she just strayed a little bit, as you quite rightly said.
Better from Woolston. That being said, it's beautifully driven by Boycott for 4. Second boundary in the over, just a touch over pitched, but it's really more beautiful batting than necessarily a bad ball from Woolston.
Yeah, what we've gone back to seeing here now, and you see that on the replay there. She just stroked it nicely through and evaded the fielder. I think that's Georgie Boyce there. Not letting it go, but she couldn't react quickly enough to get to that one. This outfield, as we've said on many occasions this year, is very rapid. I mean, all the way through the last day of the test, we're like, oh, it's going to absolutely throw it down, and we didn't have any rain. We had 10 minutes of rain, so it's had very little water out there, so it is quite rapid, especially like the oval with the strips all the way across the middle of the ground.
And just losing her line. If you're an opening bowler and you hear this said both in men's and women's cricket, you'd rather see that as a wide than when it ends up going down leg, because you can understand the plan that's attempting to be executed, as we've already alluded to in the over. And you mentioned the outfield. You might have that long boundary as we do today out to the eastern side of the ground, but the outfield almost makes up for that because it's so quick. Much better ball from Woolston, and Boycott has done well to dig that out. So you would say that across the over, Worcestershire Rapids will be far happier with that one than the first, tailing in from Woolston. That's a good delivery. Boycott gets her feet a bit stuck in the mud and just jabs at it. And then you see at the end there's this respectful nod as if to say, yep, that was a good ball, and I'm quite relieved to still be here.
Yeah, and Yorkshire won't be disappointed there because it was two good shots from Boycott. So you've got to give credit where credit's due. It just strayed a little bit. Boycott was able to pierce the field, and they'll be thinking about that when it comes for them batting as well.
Slater continuing. Just losing a line there. Interesting to note, Maddie Ward standing up to both opening bowlers. I make it the first time this season we've seen right from the off, either Ward or Winfield Hill always up.
Yeah, and obviously they're having opportunity to practice a lot more, so you're getting used to it now that Slater's back in the team and Woolston's back in the team.
Licked away. Slater's just lost her line there, and it's a good shot from Gwen Davis, putting away a loose ball and getting off the mark. She'll feel so much better for that because she hadn't scored off her first 6, but she's off and running now.
Yeah, the great thing about Headingley is that you've got the big scoreboard there, which is telling you exactly how many balls you've faced and how long you've been in there. So Davis said that was 4 runs, but she's faced 7 balls and been in for 11 minutes, so she'll be pleased to actually get off the mark with that shot.
Slater looking for a response, but has just lost her line, and you saw the reaction of Rachel Slater, the frustration. You can see as well, the camera angle shows it, she's working down a slope here a little bit, so the ball is essentially going to always go down that slope.
I think she's used to bowling to right-handed bats as well, so she's got a left-handed, and that would have been perfect for a right-handed batter. As would that.
And again, put it in the same category. It's always nice being awkward and a lefty until suddenly you're met by a fellow lefty, and then suddenly you are the one that is something that happens less often, having to be the one that is adjusting slightly. And Slater still, of course, working her way back into first team action. Well worth having a look at her blog on the Yorkshire website. She said, no injury is ever a good injury, but I'd have to say, she said this with a big smile on her face, that as a left-arm seam bowler, a fractured right wrist is the best one I've ever had in my career. Oh, appealing for a catch, and it's given. What a catch by Ward. That is absolutely outstanding glove work from Maddie Ward. That is superb. Standing up to the stumps. This has got a little tickle of something on it down the leg side, and that is high-class glove work from some of the best hands in Yorkshire by Ward. So Slater gets the breakthrough in an unlikely fashion. 18 for 1, it's the end of Davies.
Yeah, that's just a wow moment, to take that standing up with the batter swinging the bat round. That shows great concentration and great skill from Ward there to keep her head still, keep her hand still, and just take it. And you can see the reaction from all the fielders there. They knew instantly that there was something on that, as did the umpire, and that's the end of the person that's giving Slater some difficulty, because in that last over she's bowled 3 wides to her, she's been hit for 4, and then she's taken a wicket, and that shows real commitment to just persevere and to keep going. But all credit to Maddie Ward there, because that was a perfect take from probably an imperfect ball, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you sum it up very neatly and very diplomatically, Dr. Jane Powell. Gilgrass is out there now and is off the mark. Bryony Gilgrass, who came in with the Worcestershire Rapids in something of a sticky situation when these sides met in early April, and hit a really nice measured 48 off 60 that was key of getting them well past 200 and what proved to be a comfortable winning score. Just jumping back to Slater with that wicket, from the kind of straight talking character she is and certainly was even on air with us in the commentary box, she'd be the first to say that it was not a vintage fast bowler's wicket, and one where very much the big congratulations goes to the keeper. But it's a third wicket this season for Rachel Slater in her second Yorkshire appearance, as that's a much better delivery, and that is not entirely, as we were discussing, dissimilar delivery to the same ball that she was bowling to Davis.
She's right-handed.
But suddenly it looks beautiful. It shapes down the slope.
Exactly, and that's why she will have been pleased to see the back of Davis as well, because that's exactly the ball she's bowled at least 4 times in the last over, of which 3 were given as wide and 1 was a wicket. So well done to Rachel Slater for maintaining that line to the right-handed batter now.
And that's straight to short mid-wicket. Enthusiastic stop by Amy Campbell, who in the game against Leicestershire here completed a fantastic run out with something not an entirely dissimilar looking piece of fielding to that, where she slid in on the edge of a practice pitch and then zinged the stumps down.
Yeah, and going back to, getting a wicket from a not a great ball, that's what good teams do. They make bad balls into good balls.
That's just jabbed off the inside edge. So end of the third over, and Yorkshire will be without doubt the happier of the 2 so far. 3 overs gone, and Worcestershire are 19 for 1. Also got to say, I've got a lot of time for the level of completely understated celebration from Maddie Ward there. Like, you can file that under the... You hear some people talk about this in various sports. The postman doesn't doesn't celebrate when delivering the post. So nonchalant.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is what I do.
Very skillful.
Standing up off a fast bowl, off a quick bowler with the new ball in a slope and a batter trying to sweep in front of me. Like, yeah, cheers.
Yeah, she just kept her head still, kept her hands soft but in the right area, and when I say soft, you don't want them to be too hard, because sometimes balls can come into your gloves and fall out. So a good example to anybody watching, just have nice soft hands that receive the ball and keep the ball, but a very good wicket all in all.
Spin into the attack, Claudie Cooper, who has a bit of a habit of getting wickets in her first over. She's done that in 6 of her 10 games for Yorkshire so far this season. Starts off with a leg by there. Brings a different dynamic. Gilgrass in particular will want to be aggressive against Cooper, so fascinating to see how that duel goes, and Boycott has got to adjust to something a little slower. It's nibbled away, but definitely not getting a leg by for that one.
Yeah, and one of the, we're in the power play, obviously, and you want to get off to a good start. And the problem will come when it's the end of the power play, and then they've got to evade the field as well. So they'll be aware that pressure's on them. Boycott will at this moment, as she just chips that one over the short mid-wicket, but it's being covered by the deep fielder. There's a chance of a run out, and Cooper just missed out on that one.
Yeah, it was a nice hustle by Olivia Thomas, one of Yorkshire's more dependable boundary sweepers. You tend to see her very in the action out, normally at deep mid-wicket or often deep cover, defending that slightly shorter-sided boundary today. So as mentioned, even that longer boundary out towards the eastern side, you do still have all those practice pitches, easy for me to say, that makes the ball run very fast. Boycott got herself in a little bit of a tangle there, and this is the other big benefit of Yorkshire signing Claudie Cooper from Surrey this season. You've got a spinner that has consistently shown she can bowl in the power play, and that meant that when Woolston went for 10, immediately the change could be made at this end, the pavilion end. Lots of flight, teasing and tempting Cooper there, and Boycott took the bait, drove it down the ground for 1. Good cricket all round.
Yeah, but I mean, Yorkshire have got a variety of bowlers that they can call on, so I think they'll just read the game as it goes, over by over, and just use the most effective ones at the right time.
Quicker and flatter from Cooper. Nice footwork from Gilgrass. I mentioned that she will look to be aggressive against spin. 4 overs bowled. 23 for 1. Boycott has 11. Gilgrass is yet to get off the mark. Great to have your company wherever you are across the world. Do let us know in the YouTube live chat where you're watching from, what your predictions are for this one. Worcestershire seeking their first win of the season. Yorkshire looking to keep their unbeaten record. There's TX200AA in the way that many people do not have a coherent name online. Says, I'm not sure Sir Geoffrey did play any T20 cricket, but he did destroy Surrey with a big innings in a Gillette Cup final back when a good 60 over total was 200. He helped Yorkshire to about 250. Once upon a time, that was referring to, of course, Claire Boycott, the Worcestershire Rapids captain, being out there batting earlier on. Olivia Thomas is on, so leg spin in the power play. A bold move against Boycott. He's cutting straight to point. I believe on that note, the innings that is being referred to is the game in the 1965 Gillette Cup final. 60 overs maximum aside. Nice flight from Thomas. Good footwork from Boycott. Dot ball. I mean, crikey, can you imagine what the teams make these days if you played 60 overs?
I was just thinking we wouldn't get it in the day,
well,
would we?
yeah, over rates as well.
We're struggling to get 86 overs in the test match, you know. And
yeah, exactly.
So...
Good start from Thomas here. Always unafraid to give it flight, and that makes us so entertaining to watch as a leg spinner. It always makes things happen, and she's building a lot of pressure here on Boycott. The other Boycott in that particular game made 146. Brian Close made 79, and Surrey were beaten by 175 runs, which is a bit of a hammering. It was back 60 years ago now. Down the track, horrible ball, and Thomas will be frustrated. The pressure's been released. Boycott smashes it away through Cow for 4 and flies on to 15.
Yeah, just overpitched that one. Gave her a nice full toss. Boycott moved her feet to that one. See on this replay, she just dances a little bit out the crease, and it became a nice, easy bit of a tennis shot, really. It's nice there from a forehand, and all with Wimbledon round the corner.
Yeah, Thomas blinked first, but Thomas responds with a nice delivery. Boycott is using her feet against the spin here really well. It's making for an intriguing duel.
You can see that Boycott's just itching to get after Thomas, but she's bowled 5 balls, 4 dot balls, and the 1-4 at the moment. So we'll see whether she moves her feet to this last ball as well.
That's again straight at point, and it's all told a good over from Olivia Thomas. It concedes 4 from it, and at the end of the 5th, it is 27 for 1.
Yeah, 4 and over from the 2 spinners is probably what Yorkshire wanted. You know, you put your spinners on in the power play, and if they've only gone for 4 off each over, then that's a good result for them. And Boycott in particular, but Gilgrass, because we know she's an aggressive batter, will be wanting to get after them in this next Cooper over.
That's down the ground for 1. Gilgrass is off the mark from her 4th ball faced.
Fielded by Lauren Whitfield-Hill, who is now pushing Maddie Ward for the brightest shoes out there.
Guided away. Nice touch shot this from Boycott. There's no one behind square on the offside, and it's a big chase to what is the long boundary, but that heading the outfield's fast. You always get value for shots, and that is 4 more to Boycott, who is starting to get through the gears here.
Yeah, I think if you kind of evade the field, the inner ring, then chances are it's going to run for 4. It'll be interesting to see how many, whether we do get any 3s today and how many 2s we get, because in general you tend to find that there's a number of 1s, but then the next count would be boundaries.
Just goes back, and then eventually Boycott looked very interested in pulling that, and then eventually realised it was better just to let it go by, take the wide. This is way out to Thomas for one more. We've got a great bit of trivia here. The name Gilgrass appears to be of English origin, potentially derived from the Middle English words gelden, meaning to castrate, and gris, meaning young pig, which I must say, you get all sorts of information on cricket commentary. That's straight at short mid-wicket, good intent from Campbell, who's hunting the run-out opportunity.
Yeah, Campbell loves being in that position, doesn't she? You've already mentioned earlier this season when she ran somebody out in that similar position. It was
Cooper this time. Gilgrass gets that strong bottom hand through the ball. Swings away for 1. Gilgrass onto 3 when she goes through the gears. That will be fascinating from a Yorkshire point of view, dangerous sight to watch. Left of the over, does Boycott look to be aggressive in the last ball of the power play? She does not. Is content to just flip it around the corner for an attempted single, but not going to get one there. So it's a power play of under a run a ball, all told. And you would say, based on the quality of the Headingley surface, that Yorkshire would be the happier with it, keeping things nice and tight. Cooper's gone for just 11 from her 12 balls bowled. A few more thoughts from Dr. Jane Powell on what we've seen so far, and then she'll be joined by Aaron Viles.
Yeah, good start by Yorkshire, keeping Worcestershire under that runner ball. It looks like Boycott is itching to get going, but it'll be interesting to see now both Gilchrist and Boycott, because the field is now is able to be spread a little bit more, and it'll be interesting to see whether she can evade that field or whether Yorkshire can keep the pressure on. As Thomas comes in, and Gilgrass steps right outside off stump and then doesn't really connect at all. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Jane. Yep, good afternoon, everyone. Hope that you're enjoying the coverage here on Yorkshire TV so far. Some big shoes to fill there, with Michael McCann departing for the time being, and yes, it will be Olivia Thomas. There's a definite ploy here, isn't there, from Bryony Gilgrass, looking to take the attack to the spin very early on. And I know that yourself and Michael were having the dialogue, Jane, but in terms of the two sides, Yorkshire the happier of the two after 6?
Yes, I would think so, because this outfield is so lightning fast that it's quite difficult to set a target, but to keep under one a ball is always a good target really to set.
Well, there could be a run-out chance there at the striker's end. It was a good pick-up and throw that from Olivia Thomas. Just didn't have the direction to get it back into the gloves of Maddie Ward, but I wouldn't describe that as a half chance, maybe a quarter chance there for Yorkshire to try and generate something in a wicket-taking capacity. Some good fielding, though, isn't it, from the...
Yeah, and pressure's still on, because she didn't get that ball away, which she thought she was going to. And with that, you get the wicket. You keep the pressure on, you keep them from scoring, and the next ball, you just put that through a little bit faster, and there we get a bowled by Olivia Thomas.
Yeah, beautiful piece of bowling that from Olivia Thomas, and it goes back to exactly what we were talking about there, Jane. Pressure. It was dot ball pressure. They've been mounting up, and it's just a typical leg spinner's dismissal that. You've got someone who's looking to take the attack to the spin, going for the big shots. Thomas hangs it outside, almost dangles that bit of bait, and in the end, that is the end of Bryony Gilgrass. She departs for 2 from just 9 balls. It's a big wicket for the Rapids to lose, and the visitors now 36 for 2.
And you can see the previous ball when Thomas kept Gilgrass on strike. She struck it firmly, came down the wicket. It could have gone for 4 past the bowler, but it was fielded by Thomas, and then she comes on and takes the wicket the next ball. And there's so many small margins in cricket that had she not been facing the next ball, then obviously she wouldn't have been out. So that's where this youngster in particular, Olivia Thomas, is really growing in experience and skill as she goes through the season. I'm really excited by Thomas. I think she's a great all-rounder, if I'm honest.
No, she certainly is. And talking of excellent young all-rounders, one has just entered the middle. It's Ebony Jade Tweets on debut here for Worcestershire. Just come on loan from the Warwickshire Academy and gets off the mark straight away with a traditional fine sweep shot. So the loan was announced less than 24 hours ago. So Ebony has been playing for the Warwickshire Academy. She's been captaining the Bears side in youth cricket and also has played against Yorkshire earlier on this campaign in the T20 County Cup. It was a game that we were covering up at the gorgeous and spectacular Wheatwood. I must say I fell in love with the place as soon as we got the chance to commentate there, and yeah, she's definitely someone to watch out for in terms of young Midlands cricketers.
And the advantage that a lot of these young girls have now is that they're training with the seniors on a regular basis. So coming into a side is not, you don't have to introduce yourself. They all know you, because make no mistake, any senior player knows the juniors that are coming through and knows which young players could take their place in the future. So they're watching out for them.
And that will be a dot ball to finish. What a start this has been from Olivia Thomas. 1 for 7 from her first 12 deliveries in the match, and that'll also be the end of the over. So 7 gone, and Worcestershire are 38 for 2.
Yeah, you know how I feel. I'm just delighted that Olivia Thomas is coming good, if that makes sense, because she's just got an all-round ability. We see her out in the field. She's covering boundaries, giving everything there, and she's also very useful with the bat. But her leg spin bowling has picked up a number of wickets this year, and she's doing really well. Hasn't been given a contract yet, so she'll be working towards that, and I'm sure she'll have some good news for next season.
Well, I certainly hope so. She's been absolutely fantastic, also with the bat in hand as well. I know we've spoken predominantly about bowling as Ria Fackrell, for the first time today, starts here from the Kirksall Lane end, and that one just guided off the bat face. A little bit of fielding there for Stair Callis to do. Should just be 2 runs off the bat of the Worcestershire captain Boycott. Yeah, Olivia Thomas definitely proving her worth in a Yorkshire shirt. I think she's been absolutely outstanding, and the other aspect as well, of course, is the energy. She's a great character, loves her cricket, very passionate about all aspects of the game. Definitely someone that you want in your dressing room.
Yeah, Fackrell gave that one a little bit more air, and with that big gap between gully and cover, with deep cover, deep point, cover point out on the boundary, there's always a single there, and that was good cricket there from Boycott, just stroking it out there.
Well, Tweets again goes for another sweep shot, well executed. Yorkshire do have protection out there at steep backward square legs, so will just be 1 more run to add to the tally. Keeps that scoreboard moving along to 42 for 2.
You can imagine that Fackrell has bowled to these players many times coming from Sparks this year.
It's a nice cut shot, that, isn't it, from Claire Boycott. They think about running a second, instead decide not to. Well, it is funny, actually, because Fackrell and Tweets were teammates at the Central Sparks Academy. When Ria wasn't playing for the first team, she was turning out for the academy side, and yeah, these two will have played against each other at many occasions, as Tweets again looking for another much more firm sweep this time.
Yeah, she looks confident on her legs, and looks like that's where she's aiming to to swing her bat a little bit more. And if that is the case, then apart from the distance of the boundary, you should be able to cover it.
And that will be the end of over number 8. So Worcestershire 44 for 2. Decent first over that from Ria Fackrell. Goes for just 6 runs. Some nice shots in there as well from the Worcestershire pairing, of course. Just taking a look on the live stream, over 2,000 people tuning in to the coverage so far. Thank you very much for the support and, of course, the viewing today as Yorkshire look to get a 4th successive victory in the Vitality T20 Blast. And if you haven't already liked the stream and subscribed to the Yorkshire Cricket YouTube channel, please feel free to do that right now. Of course, we're providing you free coverage throughout the entirety of the 2025 campaign, and every little bit of support counts. As we'll see a change of bowling here then from the Howard stand end. It'll be Jess Woolston to come back onto bowl. Here to Tweets, and first ball does the damage. Excellent piece of bowling from Jess Woolston. And how about that for a start from the Howard stand end chain? That was absolutely marvellous. Worcestershire lose a 3rd wicket. The Rapids 44 for 3.
Yeah, just a little bit more pace from Woolston, and it looked again as if she was pulling across the line, trying to hit it leg side, and just completely missing it. It went between her bat and her pad and just hit middle stump. And that's something that young players have to learn. I think in junior cricket, sometimes you can get away with hitting it to leg side 9 times out of 10. But as you come up to senior cricket, then you're going to come across bowlers who've got the ability to just nip it a little bit, just hold it back a little bit, push it through a bit quicker. They'll vary the line length and pace of the ball, and it's much more difficult then to get it away. So, but that'll be a good learning point for her. But well tried to her. You know, she hit good, quick 3 runs. Really, she wasn't out there very long, was she? And it's that balance, isn't it, between occupying the crease but scoring runs at the same time, and pressure builds if you are just occupying the crease without scoring runs. So definitely be giving her a pat on the back as a coach and saying, well done, well tried. That's what we would need you to do. We'll just work on that one now.
Next delivery from Woolston goes down the leg side. It's travelling towards the boundary rope. Will it be cut off? Yes, it will. Great bit of tandem fielding there between Lauren Winfield-Hill and Claudie Cooper. Means it won't go down to the boundary rope for 4, but will be given as wides. And of course, that brings Chloe Hill into the middle. It was interesting, actually. I did have a little bit of a fact lined up with regards to that matchup between Tweets and Woolston, because in a game earlier in the academy competition back in May, we'll talk about that after this delivery from Woolston. Take 2 there to the new batter, Chloe Hill. Tweets scored 54 not outs and actually won the game for the Warwickshire Academy against Yorkshire at Doncaster Cricket Club. And very first ball, it goes to show, doesn't it, how cricket is such a volatile sport. Went from scoring that 54 not out, and first ball against Woolston, who played in that academy fixture, gets out to a lovely nip backer, which sent the stumps into a little bit of a state.
Jess is struggling with her line at the moment. She keeps pushing that one outside off stump and just needs to bring it in a little bit tighter. Probably keep sideways and keep everything going towards the target. Just looks like she's falling away just a little bit. I better say hello to my twin sister in Australia, who's assured me that she's watching. So I better say good evening to her to make sure that I'm not in trouble. Woolston comes in again. That's a better ball, and that was very uppish, and that could have gone anywhere. That could have gone to hand there. So Jess will be pleased with that she's been able to bring it in straighter and cause the batter to try and just play it a little bit more aerially, and one bounce straight to the fielder, to Rebecca Duckworth.
Yeah, Woolston will be encouraged by that. It's been a very, very good over. Just the 4 runs, and of course the big wickets of Ebony Jade Tweets for just 3 runs as Woolston bowls again here to Hill. Slightly cramped for room on that occasion. The Worcestershire batters do scarper through for the quick single in the end. Goes down as a leg by, so the Rapids inching ever closer to bringing up 50 runs. Just out of interest, Jane, where is your sister watching on from?
Perth.
Perth?
Western Australia. Yeah. Dianella.
Lovely part of the world, isn't it, Perth? Can't say I've been myself, but always looks lovely. Is it the Swan River?
It is, very much the Swan River. Go kayaking on there when I'm over there.
Austin bowling again here to Boycott. Touch of finesse on that shot, just guides it to the fielder for no run. And of course, for everybody tuning in to the Vertu live stream today, let us know where you're watching on from. Seeing plenty of comments in the YouTube chat. Keep them coming as well. Keep us company on this fabulous Friday afternoon. We love all the interactions, and we hope that you're enjoying the cricket as much as we are. It's been a very good start, this, for the White Rose. Final delivery of the over. Well, it beats the dive of the fielder out there. That will trickle away to the boundary rope, and that will bring up the 50 for the Worcestershire Rapids. Another lovely shot there, just piercing the gap in the offside. It's a decent effort, just evaded the fielder to the left-hand side.
Yeah, it looks easy from up here, doesn't it? And I'm sure Jess will be disappointed with that, because it wasn't that far away from Georgie Boyce, and you would not expect your fielder to take that, but you would hope that they would stop that one, and that one just went past her. And it's almost like you feel she could have stopped that one. So Jess will be disappointed with that, but 53 for 3 at the end of the 9th over, that they won't be unhappy with that.
No, they won't be, and this is the great thing about this Yorkshire attack. So much variety as well. We're seeing some right-arm off-spin here from Rhea Fackrell, who before this game was the leading wicket taker in the competition as a whole. So we're seeing plenty of dangerous spinners. Myself and Michael a little bit earlier on spoke about the Worcestershire tandem of Brett and Birtwistle. So yeah, if you're a fan of spin bowling, you're in for an absolute treat here at Headingley this afternoon.
That's a good ball from Rhea Fackrell, because she saw the batter start to come down the wicket, so she just pushed it in just a little bit shorter so that she couldn't meet that on the full or on the half volley. So showed good experience there, Rhea Fackrell.
We can see here that Chloe Hill is looking to be proactive with the approach, trying to meet the pitch of the delivery itself.
She'll also be aware of the big scoreboard on her right that says you've been in for 6 minutes, you've faced 6 balls, and you've still got 0. And that scoreboard pressure is something that really hits you in T20, as she takes a good swing there out to mid-wicket, but straight to the fielder, so that'll just be for the single.
Yeah, she's an experienced player though, is Chloe Hill. Been around the Worcestershire setup for a number of years. First joined the Midlands outfit in 2016. Of course, was captaining the side last season and for the opening half of the 2025 campaign as well. Someone who I don't think will be too phased at this stage of the game. We're not even 10 overs into the piece, but no, that scoring rate is a little bit on the slow side here for the Rapids. Good delivery that from Fackrell, and it goes back to what yourself and Michael were talking about a little bit earlier. For the visitors, their high score in the T20 comp this season was 120 for 7. So they've got a stellar bowling attack. It just needs a little bit more substance in the batting department. And Claire Boycott is really doing a fine job of that so far. 30 from 31 deliveries, just playing the anchor role and keeping the scoreboard moving along. So after 10 overs, the Worcestershire Rapids are 55 for 3.
Yeah, and Boycott is doing a good job. It depends what role she's been asked to play. If she's been asked to play that anchor roll, then she's doing a fantastic job. If she's been told to push it along, then you could say she might be putting pressure on the other batters. So there's always two ways to look at something. If she's fulfilling an anchor roll and being told to do that, brilliant. If she hasn't, well, she needs to get a move on, because other players at the other end are trying to then force the pace and getting themselves out. So we will never know, because that's in the hands of the coaches and the management of the team. And I wouldn't like to presume what anybody's been told. Very full ball there from Olivia Thomas, who's come back on from the Howard stand end, and that was driven firmly down the ground but straight to the fielder.
Yeah, it's a nice little battle this, isn't it, between Boycott and Thomas?
Yes.
Look at plenty of fly, almost finds its target, just about. Worked out from under the bat there from the Rapids captain.
Great ball that from Thomas, and well kept out by Boycott. It almost looked like she'd gone past it, and she just jabbed her bat down on it just at the last minute to keep the ball out.
Yeah, good cricket all round there on display here at Headingley.
Thomas, for a young leg spinner, is really, showing her, it sounds daft to say experience, but she's really bowling like she's 45 years older than she is, because it's not easy to control leg spin.
Well, that's a fine scoop shot from Chloe Hill. I think it'll just be a single. Was a slight appeal there from Maddie Ward behind the stumps for Yorkshire, but umpire unmoved. Yeah, I think the most impressive aspect of Thomas's game so far this campaign has definitely been control. It's felt like every single game she's got a game plan, she's got tactics, she bowls to a field, and it's discipline. And it's such an important skill to possess as a spin bowler, as Boycott looks to work that away on the leg side, stopped by a diving Fackrell.
Yeah, good fielding there. That prevented an easy single, and that's where you keep the pressure on again. Pressure's an interesting one, Thomas is 1 for 9 off 2.5 overs. That is real pressure in T20 cricket. And even that one, driven very firmly straight back to her, and Thomas managed to get a hand on it. So that's the end of a very good over.
It certainly is, yep. 11 have been bowled here at Headingley. The Worcestershire Rapids, 57 for 3. And how about those figures for Olivia Thomas so far? 1 for 9 from 3 overs. This has been absolutely exceptional from the young leg spinner.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be, if I'd been bowling, I'd be absolutely thrilled with that. 1 for 9 off 3 overs. It's like, yeah, you'd almost be like, don't let me bowl another over. I don't want to ruin my figures. But Slater is about to come on from the Kirkstall Road end, or the Pavilion end, whichever you like us to call it. The same end.
We have that quite a few examples of that in county cricket. At Edgbaston, some people call it the City end.
Yes.
I usually call it the Birmingham end, of course. It's basically just personal preference, as Slater bowls here to Chloe Hill.
And this will suit Slater much better. The left armour going across the right-handed batter is where she likes to bowl that line. Earlier on, she was struggling with the left-handed bat because it was just missing leg stump. It was a perfect line for the right-handed batter, but not the left-handed batter.
Well, a little bit of footwork there from Chloe Hill, but she can't clear the infield. Goes straight to Georgie Boyce. And Worcestershire lose their 4th wicket. It's the big one, the experienced wicketkeeper bat. Chloe Hill has to depart for just 2 runs. And Yorkshire well and truly in the ascendancy here at Headingley. The Rapids 57 for 4 here in the 12th over.
Yeah, and we'll see on that replay. What I didn't pick up earlier is that Slater is now coming round the wicket. So she's bowling it into the right-hander with the opportunity for that to drift away. It's a very awkward line for a right-handed batter, and it just cramped Chloe Hill there, who just gave a nice easy catching practice to Georgie Boyce, who made no mistake on it.
Yeah, easy catch, wasn't it, for Georgie Boyce, who's been so impressive. I know that we've spoken predominantly about Olivia Thomas so far in terms of these Yorkshire newcomers, but when we get into the run chase, we've got to talk a bit about Georgie Boyce, an inspired signing on loan from the Blaze. And as a result of Chloe Hill's departure, Poppy Davis, another former Central Spark, will enter the middle.
Yeah, I think what people forget is with Yorkshire being Tier 2 this year, they're a very young side, you know, with the odd exception. So to bring in somebody with the experience of Georgie Boyce really can help those youngsters just settle and just bring out the best in them. What you want is people around the youngsters just to encourage them to play their game. As we go back to Slater now, bowling to the newcomer.
Yep, and Davis gets immediately off the mark there. Always nice, isn't it, just to settle the nerves. But it goes back to the overarching theme so far in this Worcestershire innings, and it's dot ball pressure. You look there, Chloe Hill, usually a rather fluent, rhythmical scorer, was just held down by the spin and trying to force something, try to kick this innings into gear. Slater bowls here to Claire Boycott. Nicely turned around the corner for a single, but again, Jane, that is a testament to the quality and the almost unrelenting nature of this Yorkshire attack.
Yeah, very much so, you know, and they've bowled, apart from, I mean, they've given too many extras away. They'll be the first to say that, you know, they've given 15 extras. If you took that away from the score, you realise how few have come off the bat. You know, you take, if I'm very quick, that would be 44 off the bat, 44 in 11.4 overs. So, you know, they're only scoring at 4 and over off the bat, and there again you see there's another she got away with that one. I thought that was a wide. Must have just caught something. It was well taken by Maddie Ward anyway, and we've already seen the brilliance of Maddie Ward behind the stumps taking that catch early on from Rachel Slater. Maybe they've got a little ploy going.
Again, that's really good keeping, and we'll mention this throughout the broadcast. That is not an easy thing to do, to stand up to pace. That's also the end of over number 12. The Rapids 59 for 4, but
cry of anguish, I think, from Rachel Slater, who thought she'd got a nick on that one. You know, you could see that she was like, oh, that was so close.
Yeah, it's been a good start, hasn't it, for Rachel Slater as well, of course, 2 for 10. Absolutely outstanding stuff as we see a lovely wide panning shot of this iconic venue. Coming off the back of what was an unbelievable test match between England and India. This place was absolutely rocking, and England drawing first blood in that series. And every time you step in this place, you're just reminded of just how special, just how iconic, just how important of a venue Headingley is to English cricket and the wider game. It's one of those places, you step through those gates and you just feel something special.
Yeah, no, I was here all 5 days, as you can imagine, and it was just relentless, you know, just incredible cricket at times. And continued today. We've already spoken of the brilliance of Summers. That's hit out deep cover, where there'll just be a single to Davis. For Davis, should I say, Poppy Davis. And this is now where Boycott has played that anchor role, but she's 33 off 37 balls. You'd be expecting her to just start to up the ante a little bit now.
Most definitely. Just seeing who Worcestershire have next carded in. Believe it will be Amy Wheeler and then Liv Goff as well, the wicket keeper. Also in the shed. Fackrell gives that one a little bit more pace and zip. Stopped by a diving stair Callis. Good bit of fielding that, and that's something which we've seen a lot today from Yorkshire. It's also part and parcel of why that dot ball pressure has built. It's good backing up in the field. As Boycott this time goes aerial, tries to slam that down the ground. Yorkshire do have some cover out there, and as a result will just be 2 more runs to add to the Worcestershire tally. But good shot that there from Boycott, and I think, Jane, that's also a little bit of a, not an omen as such, but maybe a little bit of advance warning here to Fackrell that, right, the time now is to go a little bit more aggressive. Has she got the outside edge? Yes, she has. It's another fine take from Maddie Ward, the Yorkshire wicketkeeper, and Claire Boycott, the latest Worcestershire batter to depart. Really smart, clever, intelligent bowling that from Ria Fackrell. Identified the fact that the Rapids captain was looking to up the ante, increase the scoring rates, takes the pace off, induces the outside edge, and as a result, the Rapids lose their 5th wicket. Worcestershire 63 for 5 in the 13th over.
Yeah, and Boycott will be disappointed with that, but it was, as you say, great bowling from Fackrell. She doesn't actually, she just, it's almost like these days that you don't take your feet to the pitch of the ball, if that makes sense. I'm sounding very old now, but because you play up and down a line, so she doesn't go out far enough, and then swung a bat at it, and it just took the outside edge. If should she have gone forward for that, or should she have played that off the back foot? And these are the debates that the coaches and the players will have together to work out what shot should they have played to that, because it's the execution of the shot that has been a downfall there. But what can you say about Maddie Ward? That's the second really good take behind the stumps.
It most certainly is, and it is Amy Wheeler, another one of the Blaze loanees in action today, this time for Worcestershire, who sees off her first delivery, and that will be the end of over number 13. So the Rapids remain 63 for 5, and it was getting to the stage, wasn't it, where scoreboard pressure was beginning to set in there for Claire Boycott. She'd done well to get those 35 runs, but it was just the stage of the innings. Only 7 remaining. Worcestershire now have got to really start getting those boundaries flowing with consistency.
Yeah, they do, and with the likes of Claudie Cooper coming back on now, you know, there's some experienced bowlers that are going to just tempt and then just dart the ball in, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top of that, the youth and the excitement of the Worcestershire players, or the experienced heads of the bowlers coming in for Yorkshire. And the other thing that I wanted to just touch on is we've got Lauren Winfield-Hill in the team today, but Maddie Ward has deposed her as wicketkeeper. That'll be an interesting conversation at some stage with the coaches as to who is our number 1 keeper and who are we playing where and when.
Well, Cooper again looking to target those stumps, will be a dot ball. I think it's just for consistency, isn't it, of course, because Winfield-Hill, she's been playing in the Tier 1 setup for Essex on loan for the Eagles.
But the skills of Maddie Ward are clear to see, but we also know the skills of Maddie Ward is she's picked up wickets with her off-spin this year as well, so it'll be the balance of a team, as that one was played and missed and taken again cleanly by Maddie Ward. And it's just all these interesting discussions, you know, that you can have.
It is. It's great to see, isn't it? As Cooper bowls here to Wheeler. Again, looking to target that gap between mid-wicket and deep backward square leg. A little bit of vacant grass there just in front of the western terrace, but didn't quite get the direction on that occasion. Really is so good, isn't it, for Yorkshire to have Maddie Ward in this side. Very much a quintessential 3-dimensional cricketer.
I think what we're seeing from Yorkshire is a very balanced squad, you know, and that's what's helping them, is they've got people who can bowl spin, people who can keep, more than one who can bowl spin, more than one who can keep wicket, more than one who's the seam bowler, and that's what you need, is that balance, as that's hit back over the head of Claudie Cooper. It's coming down to the boundary, but picked up by the ever-experienced Lauren Winfield-Hill, and 2 runs there.
Yep, and that will be the end of over number 14. So the Worcestershire Rapids 67 for 5. We'll have a slight change here in the commentary box as myself and Dr. James.
Thank you very much, Aaron. We've got a special guest up here. We've managed to put out some notice. We've managed to dig out into the back of the sofa, and we've managed to be able to afford her for 5 overs of this first innings, with hope that we might be able to cobble together enough to get her for some of the second. A very good afternoon to Grace or Gracie Hall. And from the very first ball of the new over, Yorkshire have another wicket. Worcestershire Rapids' troubles continue, and Ria Fackrell has her second. Wheeler has to go for just one, and it's really going from bad to worse for the visitors.
Are we allowed to take credit for that? I've just stepped in for my first comms, and Ria gets a wicket with her first ball.
You're going to be taking an assist on the bowling averages. Well, that was pretty out, must say. We're not quite in line here, but as soon as she went to sweep that, it felt like a shot that was laden with an element of risk, particularly when you think that Wheeler had only just got out there. So she's gone for 1 of 5. And Worcestershire, who showed a lot of lower order strength in the recovery that they managed against Yorkshire in the win here in April, are in danger of the lower middle order here crumbling a little bit in truth. Now 67 for 6, and up to the wicket comes Olivia Goff to try and grab what she can alongside Davis. So run a ball from here gets you 102. Didn't even have the time to give you your full introduction. But Gracie Hall, Yorkshire bowler, having shoulder surgery on Monday. We'll come back to that as Fackrell is cut out to point for 1. Half fielded out there by Duckworth. Just give us a quick update on where that's all at. You were telling me that, not quite in your words, but for those at home unfamiliar, Gracie is such a hard-nosed Yorkie. She played through 5 games with some version of a torn shoulder.
Yeah, so
like the absolute cricket nut that you are.
I know. Well, you never assume that anything's that bad until they tell you it is, actually. Obviously just kept going, and yeah, not ideal situation at the minute.
That's sliced away off the trusty outside edge from Davis. Good bowling again from Fackrell, who's really spun a web in the middle overs of his first innings. So you just kept playing, as you do, for 5 games, noticing problems, it's fair to say.
I think I thought I was okay and I could crack on. I was managing fair enough. So it took until that initial scan for them to pull me out. But I'm glad I got to play them games at the start of the season.
Fackrell gives that one a little bit more flight, straight at point. But the situation now is, so you're having surgery on Monday. Yeah. And what exactly have you done, Gracie?
I've torn my labrum in my shoulder. So it's...
smashed away. That's gone in between the 2 sweepers. It's a long boundary out there. Campbell's missed it, but in behind is Boyce to collect. So good strong shot, but it's a big old hit out there. That longer side of today. 72 for 6 off 15. Great spell from Ria Fackrell. 2 for 17 off 4. She had a month or so where she didn't play. Yeah. Such was the nature of the very competitive Yorkshire spin bowling ranks, but she's fought her way back in very impressively.
Yeah, and she's bowled really well. She's taken, I think, she topped wicket taker of this comp before this. So, yeah, she's taken wickets and at crucial times as well. I think Ria's really put a stamp on that position in this team at the minute, and it is a competitive side to get in as well.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ria Fackrell, she probably wasn't expecting at the start of this season that it turned out the vice-captain and wicket-keeper was a spin bowler as well, in Maddie Ward, of course. Here's Woolston, 1 for 18 off her 2. And that's somewhat guided by Goff, who looked to be on it early and just waited for the ball nicely and guides it down through 3rd for 4. So 4 valuable runs for Worcestershire, and Olivia Goff gets her first boundary.
There's a big boundary out there as well. There's been a lot put into the pockets. I think Woolley will be not too disappointed with that. I think it potentially wasn't intentional, but looking to hit that wide line.
With a 5-4 field, 3 out on the onside. Short, pulled away nicely. Thomas has to chase around to her left. They want 2, but will settle for 1. So Goff has 6. Now, we were just talking off air about the various injury problems that seem to plague anyone that bowls anything quicker than spin for Yorkshire this season, of which Grace Hall alongside me is unfortunately part of that clan, and Woolston's had her own issues. She's recently back. It's confident looking drive through the covers for 1. Now, she, in taking a wicket against Derbyshire in the Blast opener, pulled out a celebration that I coined it the chainsaw up here in the box, referring to, we saw it from the once upon a time Brett Lee was the first that I can remember doing that. I've also heard this described as the lawnmower. It's fair to say your body language is screaming that you are not a fan.
Not particularly a fan of the lawnmower, the chainsaw, whatever we're going to call it, but she was very excited about her first wicket back.
And that was a chance, not an easy one. Just got underneath it, Goff, and sort of chipped it out. Slater diving forward, particularly given the issues that she's had with that wrist. You hope there's no problem, but she seems to be back to her feet and grumpy about dropping the catch, but not in any kind of pain, which is good to see. Back of a length helped on its way. Not a good ball. Nicely put away by Goff. Head on hands from Woolston. She knew it. And a good over's been slightly spoilt there by a boundary at the back end.
Yeah, I don't think Wooly will be particularly pleased with that. But she's bowled that into the pitch a little bit more, and it seemed before she was trying to get it up there and play out to her sweepers. But that one she's just bowled into the pitch a little bit more.
So 82 for 6 then, with 1 ball left. Goff and Davies into double figures. Worcestershire, you'd say right now, are playing for getting past that 100 mark would be the first thing. Nice looking drive, but straight to Fackrell in the covers. So end of the over. Woolston's got 1 left. It's been a little on the expensive side today. 1 for 28 off 3, 82 for 6 off 16. Required run rate. Getting ahead of myself. Current run rate just above 5, hovering around 5.1. Based on the quality of the pitches we've seen at Headingley this season, probably say you'd rather be Yorkshire right now?
Yeah, I think so, but also Worcestershire are watching on and seeing what's worked for Yorkshire at this point, and the pace-off option seems to be pretty good, and we know they've got a strong spin attack.
Of course, we saw in that first game, and it's also a particular thing that Yorkshire haven't faced, we're saying a lot of this season, in good left-arm spin. Brett and Bert Whistle. Olivia Thomas. So that's hit down the ground by Davies for 1.
Yeah, and I think that given the week to prepare, and we faced a lot of left arm spin this week, just knowing that that's what they're coming with, especially after that first game here.
Yeah, 7 of those 10 wickets taken with left arm spin. Is that a case of just getting local net bowlers in? Was that how it was done?
Well, luckily one of our coaches is left-handed, so Brycey Chuck's left arm spin.
So it's just pushed away.
Probably a sore arm.
I was just about to say, yeah, he's probably got quite a sore shoulder with batters lining up to have a hit. For those unfamiliar, that is Chris Bryce, the women's lead academy coach and number 2 behind Rich Pyra. Thomas in again, reverse sweep. It was well played, and it's managed to escape through the fielder for 4. Well, this is clever batting, and it's not an easy shot to execute, but it's using the spin of Thomas against her because it's going with the turn.
Yeah, I think Liv's looked to get one a little bit fuller there, and just past the fielder. I think that would have been a close chance in there for Ducky to stop that one.
Scoff go again. She's instead just working that straight to Slater, and Davis was backing up heavily from the non-striker's end and had to hurriedly rush back.
Yeah, and that's probably a better length with this field. She's got the leg side field out, wanting them to play into the big pockets out there.
Oh, that's a horrid delivery, and has got away with it with a dot ball, Olivia Thomas. She might not bowl too many worse balls all season, so she'll be chuffed that that's gone straight to short fine leg.
Good field change there.
Quicker and flatter, and that's almost gone through Goff, who seemed to be a little early on it. So it's the end of 4 great overs from Olivia Thomas, all told. 1 for 14 off 4. You cannot ask for much more than that from a spinner, particularly when one of those 4 overs was bowled in the power play. So Thomas completes her tidy set. 87 for 6 off 17. 1 for 14 off 4 for Olivia Thomas.
Yeah, nice tight over from Liv, and that follows up how she's bowled all season. Nice straight lines, bowling at the stumps.
It gives you something completely different, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does, and she turns the ball as well. I think that's, even at Headingley on her flat deck, she manages to get it to grip.
Cooper from the pavilion end, sliced up, won't be a catching. Oh, it will. Well, it's held up in the wind a fair bit there, heading out towards the western terrace, and it's taken by Woolston. Not an easy one, even with the wind helping it back towards her. It's difficult when you're running back over your shoulder. Neat catch from her. Davis has to go for 11. It's the first wicket of the game for Cooper. 87 for 7.
Yeah, Worcestershire looking for the boundaries here. Claudie's just put that one a bit fuller, and some great yards from Woolley there to get just outside the ring and take that one.
Yeah, he of little faith, you might say to me, but I can assure you from our spot up on the 4th floor, it did look like it was going to plug safe, but the wind, combined with a combination of Jess Woolston's pace pedalling back, made it look quite regulation in the end, and it wasn't. I mean, if this is the Olympics and we're doing the diving and degree of difficulty, I'm definitely saying that's at least a 7.5 out of 10, if not more.
Oh yeah, speeds up. That's good for the GPSs that we wear.
Yeah, that reminds me, I mean, I'm assuming you don't get much credit for just sort of aimlessly walking around to try and get the yards up.
No, I'm not too sure. Although it probably adds up in the end.
Grace is saying that with a big smile on her face. And that's chipped just over the head of Woolston. Thomas gets around. Smart work keeps it to 1. It could have been the same combination, making it 2 and 2.
Yeah, I thought she had another one coming for her then.
Gave it a jump, but wasn't really a catching chance, but maybe a yard lower, half a yard lower, and was certainly in with a shot. Lots of flight, and that's heaved away for 1. The word agricultural comes to mind. So that's 1 more. So 89 for 7, 15 balls left. A runner ball just gets Worcestershire past the 3 figures. Completely sliced, should be taken, and is taken by Thackrell. 2nd wicket in the over for Cooper, and Yorkshire just keep chipping away at the Worcestershire Rapids, who now find themselves 89 for 8.
Yeah, Claudie, she changes her pace brilliantly all the time, and I think that's one of her biggest assets, is deceiving for the batter and obviously not being able to time it properly, getting it in the air.
And so Phoebe Brett has gone for 1 of 2, and Cooper picks up a second wicket. Do you know what I was about to mention at the start of this over, and she's very much shut the door on me before I had the chance to do so, that this would have been an extremely rare time this season that Claudie Cooper had gone wicketless. But that won't be happening now. None for 24 off 4 in the blast opener against Derbyshire. And the only other game she's gone wicketless is the defeat against the Bears in the County Cup. In every other game, she's picked up at least 1 wicket, and most of those games she's picked up at least 2. So she's having an excellent season, and she's one of, particularly with the injuries and, of course, the loans of Callis and Winfield Hill to Tier 1 sides, one of the only players left who's played in every single game. One of the survivors of this Yorkshire team throughout this season so far. And for 21 years old, she's becoming something of a senior player in terms of being a bit of a leader.
Yeah, Claudie's got a brilliant cricket brain, and you can see it when she bowls, and she knows to put a bit of extra flight on the ball.
Beach facing up. Cooper wants another wicket, and it's a bit of a prod forward from Beach, who has got to just keep Gough company here. Try and ideally get Gough to face as many balls as possible. Straight to cover on the bump ball. It's fair to say a few spectators around us were somewhat deceived. 89 for 8 at the end of the over, so Cooper's 2 wickets from that one put a real gloss on her figures, which finishes 2 for 17 off 4. It's fair to say that particularly the spinners have put Worcestershire Rapids in something of a web here.
Yeah, that's a brilliant over, especially at the death. I think they'll be looking to push on now, Worcestershire, and Claudie's just managed to put a little halt to that. Going into this over, it's going to have to be a bit of a bigger one. So that's a great bowling partnership for Slatsy to come in now.
So 1 over left for Slater, 1 over left for Woolston, and you would expect it's those two that would finish things off. It would be a surprise to see a 6th bowler introduced. The spinners between them have bowled 12 overs and have gone for just over 4 and over and picked up 5 wickets. That's a great bit of work from Yorkshire's spin trio. That's just nudged away for 1 by Gough. The problem is Gough, who's now moved on to 16 off 13, has exposed the number 10 Beach to the strike from the second ball of the over. That's a single that I don't think Yorkshire mind too much, really.
No, and that's probably what Slats was looking for, trying to get that slightly set batter off strike.
Field change. Winfield Hill's come in at short mid-wicket. It's a 5-4 onside field. You don't see that often, and Slater is slinging it down leg, making Ward work. Ward, who's had a magnificent day up to the stumps. Dr. Jane Powell was sort of joking about the rather loud footwear earlier on, but you can wear whatever coloured trainers you want when you keep that well. Down the ground by Beach, but straight at mid-off.
Yeah, that's very Maddie as well. She's probably got matching socks on under there.
What's she like as a leader?
I think she's a great leader. She's a good mixture of kind of your serious and being able to make sure everyone's clear on what's going on. Especially filling big shoes as well.
Yeah, and interesting as well, Winfield Hill back in the side today, but Ward keeps the captaincy. I guess a sense of wanting to keep it consistent throughout the Blast campaign rather than having Winfield Hill occasionally back and captaining, giving Ward that consistent run.
Yeah, and she's proven that she's taken to leadership really well, so for her to keep going with that's been brilliant today.
This has gone very high. It's going to take some catching running back. It won't be taken by Boyce. Very, very awkward over the shoulder, charging back and trying to keep a sight of it as well. And there is a bit of a wind swirling around that only adds to the difficulty. Slater unlucky.
Yeah, aerial's a good sign. I think Slatsy will be pretty happy with that, them hitting out to that big side. Probably not the first boundary option they'd go to.
That's a way through that deep set onside region. They might have got two there had they committed and gone early, but there was hesitation between Goff and Beach, and as soon as there was, there's no real thought of a run out. Real thought of a second, beg your pardon. There's only going to be a run out. 95 for 8 then with 7 balls left. Can Worcestershire get past that 3 figures mark? Slater's got 3 fielders on that very deep onside boundary. That's beautifully bowled from Slater. And that is the end of her fine work. She'll be such a perfectionist. I'm sure she'll pick bits out from it, but 2 for 16 off 4. She's really starting to settle into a groove in what, of course, after that wrist injury is just her second game of the season. 95 for 8 off 19.
Yeah, it's great to see Slatsy back. I think she's such a senior player in this squad with so many great cricket ideas that even just having her next to Wooly here, she'll be able to give her some great advice.
Bowlers, as always, particularly fast bowlers, always sharing plans, always sharing thoughts on what they've seen. We talked earlier on about her experience is pretty impressive as a CV for someone who's just 23. Woolston to bowl the last over from the pavilion end. Down the track, and didn't really time it, Goff, but it's kind of powered it, muscled it through the covers for 4, and this fast Headingley outfield that gives value for shots means the Rapids are just short of the 100 mark now.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a little bit too much width from what Wooly's looking to bowl here, especially with them 2 out on the leg side. She's probably looking to hit middle and leg stump and cramp up the batters.
Woolston just looking to tighten that line. Short and outside off, and that's there's a not the optimum amount of running communication there between Goff and Beach. It's fair to say.
Yeah, I think she's gone pace off there as well. Just watching the spinners, but she's just rolled her fingers over it. Looks like a little off cutter. Definitely
moved a fair bit as well off the pitch. Similar length again, and Goff gets herself in all kinds of a tangle.
That's probably what she's looking to bowl, get the batters playing across her. That length and the line that she's hit there is what she'll be looking for at the death. Changes of pace mixing in there as well.
Great to have the insight of one quick bowler on another. Grace Hall on the scorecard, but Gracie Hall to all of her teammates, alongside yours truly up here in the Vertu studio. Flicked away out to deep backwards square, so that'll be 1. Goff's lost the strike. Oh, it's gone for 4. It's gone for 4. So Worcestershire Rapids will get past that 100 mark that they've been scrambling towards. Flicked away, and Goff has played a really good hand here, losing partners at the other end, but she's got 27 now.
Yeah, I think that one just straying a little bit down leg, and then missed field out there at deep square. I think it's probably spun past her. Wooly's looking to bowl leg cutters now.
Makes room. Decent contact, but that's straight at the sweeper. They've got to come back for 2 here. Well, it is excellent fielding, but I would suggest in terms of game management at that point, you have to try and run the second to get Goff back on strike for the final ball. And if Beach gets run out in doing so, so be it.
Yeah, I think at this point you want to be pushing to score as many as you can with only the 1 ball left.
Instead, it's the number 10 Beach that will face the last ball and is unable to make contact. So Worcestershire Rapids finish on 104 for 8. Thank you very much to Gracie Hall for her company across the last 5 or 6 overs there. Hopefully see you back for some of the run chase. Any final thoughts on that first 20? I imagine pretty pleased from a Yorkshire point of view.
Yeah, I think we'll be really happy with that, and I'm sure that Maddie will pat the bowlers on the back. That death overs especially, I think the spinners giving it to Woolley and Slaps for the final to set it up really nicely, and they had to go for it in them last couple overs. So I think we've restricted them really well there.
It'll be 105 to win then for Yorkshire as they chase a fourth win from 4. We'll let Grace Hall get back to some mid-innings rehab. And meanwhile, you at home can go and get yourself a mid-innings cup of tea or something to eat or drink, or put your feet up and take in potentially some of the highlights from this one. In terms of a quick scorecard summary for you, it was Boycott who was the key for Worcestershire Rapids at the top with 35 off 40, but only 2 other players made it into double figures. Davies with 11 off 14, but a nice hand from Liv Goff at the end. Her 28 off 20 is what got Worcestershire past the 3 figures mark. 2 wickets each for Rachel Slater, Claudia Cooper and Ria Fackrell. Means that at the break, it's 105 to win for Yorkshire. We'll see you back for the run chase in around 10 minutes or so. Welcome back to Headingley for the run chase. Yorkshire looking to very much stretch their advantage at the top of the Vitality T20 Blast North group. 105 to win is the target. We can have a glance at the table. Yorkshire already in pole position with 15 points from a possible 15. You get 4 points for a win, and then you can pick up an extra point depending on the size of the victory. Worcestershire Rapids still pointless. 8 games for every team, home and away. The top 2 from each group go through to the semi-finals, and then the winner will ultimately play in the final, which will be on the evening of the 26th of July at Northampton. The semi-finals will be at that same ground earlier on in the day. And Yorkshire have got to put some ghosts to bed against left arm spin here, it's fair to say, Aaron.
Yep, they certainly do. We saw Phoebe Brett and Flora Birtwistle. They were the destroyers in chief, weren't they, for the Metrobank One Day Cup season opener. So completely agree. It's about exercising those demons and stretching that advantage up the top of the table. It's been a great start for the White Rose. Now it's a case of almost consolidating that position and getting on a good platform from which to qualify for those semi-finals.
Yeah, and of course Yorkshire would be keen if they got into the position to be ruthless in finishing it off. Net run rate is always handy to have, a bit solidly in Yorkshire's favour across the season so far, as Winfield Hill's first ball is guided out to cover point. Vastly experienced pair, these two, Georgie Boyce and Lauren Winfield Hill, and it is a very strong Yorkshire batting lineup right through the card that will back themselves on a pitch that doesn't look like it's got a lot of demons in it to chase this down. As Winfield Hill is down the track, hitting hard through the covers. Fielder was diving forward, but it was a bump ball, been smashed into the ground from Winfield Hill, who is back in Yorkshire colours today. The one change coming in for Amelia Oliver. You have to feel a little for. That straight at extra cover, nice stop. Poor old Amelia Oliver, T20 Blast opener, gets 39 off 32 not out against Derbyshire. Game 2, 19 off 22 against Leicestershire, and then opened at Derbyshire, got a 23 off 34. Maybe didn't score quite as quick as she might have liked, but again, a really solid contribution from a 17-year-old. And then, unfortunately, someone steps in who's played more than 100 games for England and says, I'm going to have my spot back. But that is the brutality of professional sport. We'll be seeing plenty more of Amelia Oliver with bat in hand for Yorkshire soon, you'd imagine. Quietly, a good first over here from Brett. 4 dots on the board. And you can make that 5.
Yep, very impressive this from Phoebe Brettons. Again, in terms of those highly touted youngsters for Worcestershire, definitely up there, of course. She's been playing for the ECB Development 11 in the game against New Zealand A few days ago. She bowls here to Winfield Hill again. Really, really strong first over this. Goes for just 1 run. It's exactly the kind of start, isn't it, that as a visiting side in a run chase, admittedly 105 isn't the biggest of targets for Yorkshire to try and chase down, but having a solid start is definitely what the doctor ordered as far as the side in blue and black are concerned.
Yeah, they're just trying to build a little bit of scoreboard pressure, which is tough when you've got such a low score on the board, but it's an over like that might lead to wickets. You do sense that they have to bowl Yorkshire out here. Yorkshire are not going to bat the 20 overs here and fail to chase this down. Now, having a few questions in the YouTube live chat about the groups and about quite how Derbyshire and Leicestershire and Worcestershire can end up in the North group. Well, there is actually some pretty understandable reasoning. It's essentially due to the fact that most of the teams across Tier 2 tend to be more based in the south. So if you're going to regionalise your groups, you're going to end up with some teams that end up inevitably in the North group. Because the South group is Middlesex, Sussex Sharks, Glamorgan, Kent and Gloucestershire, for context. That's how things have been allocated out. Amy Wheeler's on to bowl the first over of the innings from this pavilion end. Trying to continue the good work of Brett from the Howard stand end. Winfield Hill on 1. Winfield Hill getting the first boundary of the innings here. Little too wide from Wheeler, particularly in the power play. Such little margin for error. Winfield Hill wasn't going to miss out.
Yep, sat up very nicely that, didn't it, for Winfield Hill? A nice strong slash off the blade, and only ever one outcome from that one, to be honest, from Amy Wheeler. Not the kind of area that she would have been hoping for, but a player of Winfield Hill's class and experience will always send that to the boundary rope for, at the bare minimum, 4 runs. So, will be interesting to see how the youngster responds here. Of course, a product of the Blaze Academy on loan at Worcestershire for this campaign. Bowling here to Winfield Hill once more. It's another impeccable looking shot. I mean, you can always say that about the former England international. So aesthetically pleasing at the crease.
Yeah, best of 88 this season against Derbyshire in the T20 Cup, and in the 50 over stuff has scores of 47 not out, 49 and 44. In fact, it's only been 2 innings this season where she hasn't got to at least 24, and one of them was against Worcestershire, but that one she can just leave alone. Gladly take the wide. Just jumping back to those groups, also had a couple of people talking about what's happening in the South group. Well, Middlesex are taking control of it, is the long story short. Middlesex are top with 4 wins from 5. Everybody else is trailing a fair way behind. Sussex have 2 wins from 4, Glamorgan have 2 wins from 3, Kent with 1 win from 3, and Gloucestershire winless from 3. So that's into the pads from Wheeler. So right now, with 3 games left to play for Middlesex, they are looking very likely to be one of the 2 to get out of the South group, and then it's probably a bit of a fight between most likely Sussex, Glamorgan and Kent, albeit a late run could see Gloucestershire into contention. And Yorkshire will feel like if they win this, they are not quite 1 foot into the semi-finals, but they're in a very strong position in a similar way to Middlesex in that South group. Wheeler in, slight slash outside off from Winfield Hill, who was not far off nicking that through. That was slightly loose. She replays the shot that she wishes she had played. So close for Wheeler.
Yeah, it's been a good response, hasn't this, from Amy Wheeler? Just on that occasion, Winfield Hill, we could see there on the replay looking for a different kind of shot to effect on that occasion, but we'll have round 2 with this delivery. Have also got other games taking place here in the Vitality T20 Blast. We can provide an update on those at the end of this over. That one will have to be re-bowled by Amy Wheeler. It's interesting you mentioned Glamorgan and Sussex, because those 2 sides are taking each other on today down at Newport Cricket Club. So yeah, we'll have the update from that game, as well as the match between Gloucestershire and Kent at the Spitfire Ground in Canterbury. And then in terms of the other game in the North Group today, which sees Leicestershire take on Northamptonshire at the Upton Steel County Ground, that game is starting at 5:30. So won't have too many updates from that one at this stage, I don't think, as that one is flashed off the outside of Winfield Hill's bats, and that will be a boundary off the blade of the Yorkshire opener. Really nice bit of bowling that from Wheeler, just tucking her up for room, almost inducing the outside edge, and the ball on this lightning fast outfield races away to that boundary rope just in front of the Howard stand. So Yorkshire 11 without loss here in the second over.
Yeah, better for second over for Yorkshire, just settles any sense of nerves, and there's still 1 ball left for more damage, of course. Winfield Hill on to 9. She's far too experienced to be too bothered by that good first over anyway. Sounded very good off the bat, out to the long boundary, 12 without loss at the end of the over. Winfield Hill has got 10 of them.
Yeah, very good second over that for Yorkshire, after what was a very tight and miserly over from Phoebe Brett from that Howard stand end. Went for just 1 run from the opening 6 deliveries of the run chase. It's just provided a little bit of calm, hasn't it, for the home side here. Gets them up to 12 without loss, and of course Winfield Hill scoring runs, always a great sight for Yorkshire fans. And yep, we'll have the score updates as well as we just get ready for this second over of Phoebe Brett from the Howard stand end. So in the game between Glamorgan and Sussex at Newport Cricket Club, Glamorgan finished on 145 for 5 from their 20 overs. And in response, the Sussex Sharks are 8 without loss after 2. And then in the other game taking place in the South Group, Gloucestershire were restricted to 123 for 9 at the Spitfire ground. In response, Kent, the home side, 12 for none in the third over as Phoebe Brett's bowling here to Winfield Hill looks to meet the pitch of that delivery. And something which has just been brought to my attention by Dr. Jane Powell, Georgie Boyce has yet to face the delivery, so
Yeah.
that is a very astute observation, and that is a very, very intelligent shot from Lauren Winfield Hill. Goes for that trademark reverse. There's no fielder out there on the rope towards deep third, and as a result, it's another boundary off the bat of the Yorkshire opener. Really, really innovative, enterprising stroke that, and great way for Yorkshire to keep those scoreboard ticking along nicely. They're 16 for none here in the third.
Yeah, now this is where we're getting into proper cricket trivia. This is where
here we go.
We need Andy Zoltzman. Like, what's the longest period of time an opener's been out there without facing the ball?
That's a great question.
In a T20 game, Dr. Jane Powell adds, as Winfield Hill that time is going down to long on. So Boyce now will face up to the 16th legitimate ball of the innings so far. Worth reminding you as well that, of course, Erin Thomas is out with a calf niggle, part of what, unfortunately for Yorkshire, has been quite a detailed injury list this season. Making room, Boyce, but straight at point. Rich Pyra provided an injury update earlier today. Said Jess Wilson is tracking nicely after a long period out. We're delighted to see her back, but Beth Langston has a sore knee at the moment. It's the one she had trouble with before. She's having an injection, and we'll see how she is after a week, and it's a day-to-day thing. Straight at cover. Langston has not played since the defeat against the Bears in the T20 County Cup, which was more than a month ago, so that's concerning signs for Yorkshire supporters. And Erin Thomas has got a bit of a calf niggle, nothing too major. Boyce goes down the ground. It would have been interesting to see if Erin Thomas was fit today, who would have played, because Yorkshire, in terms of the batting department, about as close as they can get to full strength. So Thomas's calf niggle has saved something of a selection dilemma there. 18 without loss after 3. Pirate also added Grace, who has a long-term shoulder problem. Grace, of course, was on at the back end of the first innings talking about this. She's having surgery on Monday. Pirate adding that could rule her out for the rest of the season. For a lot of the girls, it's their first year as full-time pro cricketers. We knew we'd go through periods where we'd have a few niggles and injuries. We obviously had a couple of long-term ones, but that's part and parcel. So Yorkshire going at a runnable from their first 3. There's a bit of a conference here about who's going to bowl, it looks like. Hill is having a little chat with Flora Birtwistle, but it seems like it will be Wheeler again, which is a calculated gamble, you might say. That first over's gone for 11, and it was hit for a couple of boundaries, but she is now getting a chance to bowl at Boyce. Not Winfield Hill. Attacking field. Slip is in. 6-3 field. Signposting that Wheeler's got to be outside off here. That's not quite convincingly played by Boyce. Stopped at mid-off. Kind of almost half pulled out of the shot there.
Yeah, it's a good stop though, isn't it, by Jess Beach coming across to cut that ball off in the end, putting the body on the line. But yeah, this is an interesting matchup, isn't it? Especially with the field. Completely agree that the matchup would suggest that it will be hung outside the eye line of the right-handed Boyce. Loves to utilise the bottom hand as the Yorkshire opener.
I wonder whether that was the attempt at the double bluff, just firing it in towards the leg stump. It's got a slip, it's got a deep third and a deep cover. But the problem with this field, it really does leave little margin for error. And the question is, does Boyce fancy this early in her innings doing something a bit unconventional. She's got 1 or 5 in the power play. On the onside, there is only that short backward square, short mid wicket and mid on, and that's it. Sure, and this is. Well, I'm not quite sure how she's got that down to deep third. She got herself in a slightly unconvincing position, but I think right now she'll be very pleased to have given Winfield Hill the strike back.
Yeah, most definitely. It was a leg bye in the end, really tucking the Yorkshire opener up for room. There was Wheeler, and it's been a good response, this, from the youngster. Just a case here for Worcestershire of getting wickets and not allowing partnerships to flow with any fluency or freedom at this stage. I mean, a big partnership of 50 plus, and you'd say that Yorkshire well and truly on their way to the victory. That's a lovely shot. The Rapids do have a deep cover point out there, so it will just be a single off the bat there from Winfield Hill.
A couple of questions coming in about the women's structure. So this is tier 2, and when we discussed those north and south groups earlier on, and the fact that the geographical distribution of them, they're missing 8 first-class counties because those 8 first-class counties are in Tier 1. Yorkshire will join Tier 1 next season, and Glamorgan will join the season after to bring Tier 1 up to 10 teams. So that's just nibbled away. Wanted a single. Direct hit might have been close there from the reactions. Boyce scampers back. End of the 4th over. Is coming after this next ball, and you would have to say right now the calculated gamble of giving Wheeler another over is paying off.
It is. It's been a fine over, this, and it would be a replay of that last one because the reaction of Gwen Davey suggests that she thought that one would have been pretty close, and there again another dot ball. It's a good way to build a bit of pressure here for the Rapids. Will signal the end of over number 4, and at the end of which Yorkshire are 20 without loss, and that will also catalyse a change in the commentary box. So Michael McCann will depart for the time being, and in a few moments' time I'll be joined in the position here in the Vertu comms box by the wonderful Dr. Jane Powell. Jane, in terms of this start for Yorkshire, what have you made of these opening 4 overs?
Yeah, it's been a bit up and down in a little way, I think it's always interesting when teams start with a spinner because usually the openers are not used to the ball not having pace on it, and we saw that in the second over when Wheeler came on, that suddenly the score increased because Lauren Winfield Hill likes that pace on the ball, and then she was able to play the reverse sweep in the next over, so that helped her to get going, but she does prefer pace on the ball, and so yeah, they'll be happy. They'll probably want to keep that moving quite quickly as that's swept round square, and there's a long chase there, but it still evades the fielder, and I'm not sure Lauren really got hold of that as well as she thought she would like to, but it still raced away on this outfield. So, and I always look at DLS when teams are chasing, because that gives you an indication of are they up with where they need to be, and they're considerably past that, so they'll be happy with that. You see that on the replay there from Lauren, just helped it round the corner.
Well, that one will have to be re-bowled. I think there was a slight distraction behind the bowler's arm there. Winfield Hill pulling out of the shot initially. Just in terms of that DLS, it's 17 at the moment, although looking at the forecast, thankfully it seems though we won't need it to come into consideration. Sun shining here at Headingley. Few clouds overhead, but nothing too ominous. Fortunately, as Brett comes into bowl again here to Winfield Hill, utilises the feet, chips that over the top. We'll just wait and see. One bounce over the rope for 4 runs. That is another impeccable shot from Lauren Winfield Hill.
Yeah, and when she starts to move her feet, it's fairly ominous. And here you see her. She comes out of the crease, down the wicket, 2 steps, strikes through the ball, straight through the ball, 1 bounce. Only just missed the boundary, so that could well have been a 6. But it's a decent hit in the Headingley ground to hit straight for 6 there.
And again, Winfield Hill going on the aggressive here, out towards that longer boundary. And he's back-to-back fours here off the bat of the Yorkshire opener, really taking the attack to Phoebe Brett, who so far this season has been one of the real standouts, a bright spark for the Rapids, 4 wickets.
Yeah, we just seen the replay there of the slog sweep, and just really middled it this time, and it flew, didn't it?
Yep, it certainly did. And Brett in that season opener as well, alongside Bert Whistle, it was those two who really caused the issues. And it's something we've spoken about at length today in terms of how Yorkshire would go about taking the attack to those left arm spin bowlers. Well, so far, it's been so good here for Winfield Hill. Slight change of field as well, catalysed by Claire Boycott, brings herself into a catching mid-wicket position. What can Winfield Hill do with the next delivery? Well, it will just be a dot ball stopped by a diving Ebony Jade Tweets.
Yeah, and we're still in the power play, obviously, so only 2 players allowed out. There's one at a deep mid-wicket and one at a deep long on, so Lauren will be aware of that, and that's why she's going over the offside, just like that. Just chipped that, really, a bit of a 9-iron, that one, just straight over the inner ring. Plugged a bit. I don't know how it plugged because it's rock hard out there, but it didn't race on there, so she must have got more under it than through that one, but very safe shot.
Well, that one a lot quicker from Phoebe Brett. Just worked off the hips there from Winfield Hill. And that will be a single to round out over number 5. So Yorkshire move on to 35 without loss. They need exactly 70 runs to secure a 4th successive victory and really cement their place as the group leaders in the north. And yeah, an interesting game later on today as well in terms of that mid-table pack. Northampton, Leicestershire taking to the field at Grace Road at 5:30. Should be an absolutely cracking game of cricket, that. And we'll have a change in the bowling as well here from the Kirkstall Lane end. I believe it'll be Jess Beach, so some more seam on store for you here.
Yeah, I think that's the 3rd over out of 5 that Lauren Winfield Hill's taken a single off the last ball. She's very good at counting, and that's a good sign for Yorkshire, really, because it means that she feels confident and she feels she wants the strike. So I can't criticise her. It's something I probably did as well when I was playing. It's one of those things when you know that you're feeling good, you want to take as much of the strike as possible, and she's faced 22 balls compared to George Boyce's 8 balls at this stage.
And not only that, has scored 6 fours for good measure, so 24 of those have come via boundaries. And aside from the one which almost squeezed off the outside edge, the other 5 have been imperious. I think that's the way that I'd describe them. Very commanding strikes from the opening bat as Beach bowls for the first time in this game. Just the 1 wicket so far in the Blast campaign for Jess Beach. Economy rate of exactly 6 runs per over, but it just feels like one of those games, doesn't it, Jane, here for the Rapids, that economy rate won't be enough. I know that Michael spoke about it in the very first over. They've got to take wickets in bunches here. That's a cracking shot. Really, really nicely timed and well placed from Georgie Boyce. There's a chase on for 2 Worcestershire fielders. Neither of them will get across. And it's another boundary to add to this ever-growing tally. The White Rose 40 for none here in the 6th over.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite straightforward, really. Worcestershire need 10 wickets. With the batting lineup that Yorkshire have got, they won't be able to stop them scoring the runs if they're there for 20 overs, and probably at this stage not even there for 20 overs at the rate that they're going. So they do need to start taking wickets.
That one a full toss from Jess Beach. There's no cover out there. 1 bounce over the rope towards the western terrace. Back-to-back boundaries, this time off the bat of Georgie Boyce. Looking to utilise that dominant bottom hand to great effect, and does so with aplomb.
Yeah, and as fielders now, you can start to feel a little bit deflated because we're only in the 6th over, and Yorkshire closing in on halfway to the total.
Yeah, it's been some start this, hasn't it, for the White Rose? I mean, Boyce has been in good touch so far in this Blast campaign. Can she make it 3 back-to-back-to-back boundaries? Well, she tries to, forcing it through the covers. The Yorkshire batters have ran the first one very quickly indeed and keep that scoreboard moving along with a 2. The White Rose 46 without loss.
Yeah, lovely shot that, and all credit to the Worcestershire fielders. They're really giving it the chase. As I thought the previous 4 down towards long off, thought they might have caught it. There was a real athlete after the ball in Wheeler there, but it's just difficult to chase anything out here as that's run down to third man for a single. Georgie Boyce turns for the 2, but I think that was probably more, I'll make it look like I'm putting the effort in when there just wasn't 2 runs there.
No, I think that was the sensible decision, wasn't it, in the end for the Yorkshire pairing. Excellent start this, 47 for none. Still got 1 more delivery left here in the power play. A power play which has been dominated by the home side. Here is Beach bowling to Winfield Hill. We'll have to re-bowl that one. It's been...
Yeah, and that's just a little bit of experience when to sort of look at the umpire as if to say, right, please give it. And so the ball will be bowled again.
So take 2 here for Jess Beach. That one a much better delivery, looking to bring the stumps into play, but there's been a little bit of a misfield there in the inner circle from Bryony Gilgrass, and as a result, it will be a single to round out the power play. So Yorkshire 49 for none, Winfield Hill on 33, and Georgie Boyce on 12.
I have a little bit of sympathy for Gilgrass there because she's fielding by the matting, and it's never easy fielding by the matting. SpongeBob SquarePants, I think, there on screen. Not the 3 gentlemen. It was definitely a toy that I was commenting on there, not the 3 guys leaning over the stand there.
My question is, how on earth have they found SpongeBob? Because there's a lot of windows and nooks and crannies here at Headingley.
I think we've got a very talented film crew who know exactly what to film and at what stage, because even during the test they were finding incredible things out, and during county matches they always find out the people that probably don't want to be found out, but they are found out. So all credit to the film crew, and it's lovely to have so many cameras around the ground.
It certainly is, and they do a great job. Not just the camera operators, of course, but everyone behind the scenes here at Yorkshire TV. It's a really top-notch broadcast team that we've got here at Headingley. And here is Flora Birtwistle for the first time today. Really takes the pace off, and this should be a wicket for Worcestershire. Great catch from Claire Boycott in the ends. Absolutely outstanding stuff. And the first wicket falls for Yorkshire.
And Lauren Winfield Hill looking at the umpire as to was it taken, but the square leg umpire let the bowler's end umpire know that it was a catch.
That is a great catch, isn't it, from Claire Boycott? I mean, lets out almost a sigh of relief at the end.
Yeah, I think she was doubting herself as well at one stage and had to really reach forward, but you could see her hand was underneath the ball there. There's always that doubt in a batter's mind that did she put the ball on the floor as she took it, but you'll see that her hand goes underneath rather than the ball going straight down.
Yeah, that's an excellent catch, isn't it, from the Worcestershire captain, and as a result, Lauren Winfield Hill does depart for 33 from 25 deliveries, including those 6 fours to her name, but her race is run in this game. But as soon as one former international departs, a current Dutch international enters the middle. Stair Callis comes in at number 3 for Yorkshire, with the score reading 49 for 1, and this is exactly what Flora Birtwistle does. Takes the pace off, deceives you in the air, really gives it some flight, and already that's a 7th wicket in the campaign for the Rapids leading wicket taker. So it was almost that baiting of the trap, looking if Winfield Hill would continue to accelerate and go for those 4s and 6s, and it's worked out like a charm for the visiting side. That one wider, and that is an impeccable shot from Stair Callis. Great way for her to get off the mark straight away, just smashes it out towards the western terrace and brings up the 50 in fine fashion for the hosts.
If you look at the footwork there, she took that back foot across and waited for the ball to come to her. She didn't reach after it, waited for it in a hitting zone and just stroked it out there as a super shot. That's my favourite of the day so far.
Fluent. I think that's how I describe that. It was poetry in motion, wasn't it, from Stair
lovely
Callis?
shot. I think she's getting enough batting practice in. She's probably the most travelled cricketer on the domestic and international circuit, because she's just been playing for the Netherlands as well. So she's playing all over. She's just evaded the short, fine leg there. Didn't quite get a hold of that one. And I think what you're saying about Birtwistle is she's taking the pace off, and it's catching them. It's getting a little bit more bounce than they're expecting.
Callis again looking to carve a gap on the offside, and this is exactly what Birtwistle has done throughout her career. We're talking in club cricket when she played for Pulborough. She's also played for Anstey down in Sussex and Horsham as well. Then of course for Sussex County Cricket Club. Started out on the south coast as Callis looking to work it out towards point 2, no avail once more, and even last season it was that almost 1-2 punch of Birtwistle and Brett, the 2 Bs for Worcestershire, which made them such a tour de force in T20 cricket, as that is the end of over number 7. Yorkshire remain 50, 3 for 1, and an excellent start for Birtwistle in this game. Just 4 runs, and of course the big wicket, the huge fish of Lauren Winfield Hill for 33 runs.
Yeah, and as a young player to get those big wickets, it's something you remember all of your playing career. You know, when I got Lauren Winfield Hill out at Headingley, you know, it's brilliant. So it's great that these experienced players are playing in Tier 2 as well as in Tier 1 as well, so that it just raises the standard of the women's game across the whole of cricket.
Oh, it absolutely does. It really does.
And already over halfway, 53 for 1, and to win they need another 52. So we need a Worcestershire to take some wickets to slow this down, or we could be finishing early.
Will be Jess Beach. That one down the leg side. There's an appeal for caught behind there from the keeper Liv Goff, as well as the bowler, the umpire unmoved.
Yeah, I'm not sure the wicket-keeper really did appeal there. I think it was very much like, I'll try and... There must have been something, because there was no wide signal, so it must have come off the pad or the thigh pad there. But the bowler certainly was appealing.
Well, that one will be a wide on that occasion from Beach.
And that's often the case, you know, when you should have let your head go a little bit, which means you then bowl down leg side, you then try to compensate, and then you're bowling it too wide outside off. So again, that's just, you need to play just a bit more, just keep playing, because you learn how much of an adjustment you need to make.
And there is the adjustment from Jess Beach, looking to follow the Yorkshire batter. Boyce here, 12 from 14 deliveries, includes the 2 boundaries to her name. Of course, we saw that marvellous shot from Stair Callis, who's on 4 from 5 deliveries so far. Definitely been Yorkshire's chase so far, I think you have to say. 54 for 1 is an excellent position to be in, but just need a few more partnerships to build here and remove any seeds of doubt which may spring up at some point here in this second innings of the game. Another single there off the bat of Georgie Boyce.
And it's at this stage, you know, as a Worcestershire captain, you'd be thinking, is there any point me just having a cover fielder on the boundary? We need to take wickets. We're not going to stop them getting these runs. So do I want to bring everybody in on the ring almost and make them go aerially, can't say that word, in the air, and just then take a few more risks? And it's one of those questions that you need to debate with yourself almost.
Well, it's a question that I'm going to pose to yourself, Dr. Powell. I'm going to say this now. In terms of your particular view of this game, of where it's at, 51 to win here for Yorkshire, runs beginning to be scored with relative ease even after that wickets. How would you view this from a captain's point of view?
Well, I'm just thinking it's too easy for them just to knock it into that gap for a 1 because the field is on the boundary. So if you can just avoid the inner ring, then you're going to just get a 1, and they only need to score to required run rate of 4 and over. So it's not even 1 a ball. So at the moment there's no panic even when they play a couple of dot balls, because they'll just wait and there'll be an odd wide or there'll be a bad ball and we'll hit that for 4 and then the game's over, you know. So yeah.
Well, that'll help for Worcestershire. Excellent piece of bowling there from Jess Beach. Big shot attempted, and the timber is disturbed. So a second wicket falling here for Yorkshire, and it's another huge one. It's the wicket of Stair Callis, who has to depart. I mean, struggled after that initial shot that went to the boundary rope. Is dismissed for 4 from 7 deliveries. And is there now a slight glimmer of hope here for Worcestershire as the White Rose fall to 55 for 2?
Yeah, and you know, Ster, what were you doing? What you know, that as a coach I'd be asking, what were your intentions? Why did you make that decision? Because it's all very well playing positively or with intent or with gay abandon or whatever people want to call it these days, but actually the scoreboard says you didn't need to try that shot at that stage. If Yorkshire were behind the 4 ball, if they were behind in the run rates, then yes, sometimes you do have to go like that from ball 1. And that's how players need to adjust their game sometimes, is that might be the way that you like to play, but is that what the team needs you to play like that? And I have these debates with myself all the time nowadays, because I just think, am I just too old? Am I just sort of... But it's about managing the game, and it's about reading the game and knowing what's needed in the game. And there you have that straightforward single. And you see, that's all Yorkshire need to do. I mean, yes, they can push up run rate, but they don't need to. They're already 7 points clear in the league. So you've already done the hard work. You just need to maintain it now and just push on from there. And that was a lovely shot from Georgie Boyce, just straight down the ground. No panic.
Well, here is Maddie Ward to face her first delivery against the wily Birtwistle. And this now is a very fascinating almost area of the game, because Birtwistle has only bowled the 1 over prior to this one, so Yorkshire have still got 2.4 overs to contend with. She bowls here to Maddie Ward. You can see they're really taking the pace off, and this is almost the gamble for Yorkshire. Do you try and get a few runs here off Birtwistle, or do you just see her out and take the attack to the other bowlers? I think for the time being, Birtwistle, such a clever operator, I think you'll see here will be rather shrewd and economic for these 4 overs.
And for bowlers like this, you just need to see, well, where are the gaps and where can we run one? You know, there's plenty of spaces where you can just turn it round the corner. There's a single, there's more than a single there potentially. So they turn for 2, but just call it the day on 1. You know, you don't need to go big hitting wise, you just need to put it into the gaps, and that's what Maddie Ward did just then. And Georgie Boyce, for some reason, they're pulling the fielders back to her on the ring on the offside and hitting straight down the ground, which is the safest, is very clear. And there she is, just turning it around the corner and a single taken. And that's really, in my mind, really sensible cricket.
It is sensible cricket. Also an excellent over that, isn't it, from Birtwistle. Doesn't quite get the wickets that the Rapids would so desperately desire, but goes for just 3 singles, and as a result, Yorkshire move on to 58 for 2 after 9. So The requirement 47 off of 11 overs. That required run rate stands at 4.27, so scoreboard pressure shouldn't really come into the equation, providing that Yorkshire play this one sensibly.
Yeah, no scoreboard pressure really there at all at the moment, you know, and that's why I'm saying is that I'm not sure that's why I'd be asking players what was your intention on the shot that you played when they get out and things, because there is no pressure there at the moment other than facing the next ball.
Most definitely. I mean, it's definitely in Yorkshire's hands, this, isn't it? Feels as though it'd take a special effort for Worcestershire, but then again, they've got the bowlers to do exactly that. They've got Bert Whistle, Brett's still got a couple of overs, so...
Yeah, and I was going to say, you know, you've always got to respect your opposition, and there's some good bowling. There has been some very good bowling today, so respect your opposition, but work out a game plan. There we have the wide, just gone a bit too wide there. And, you know, there's a lot that says just hang around at the crease. You cannot score any runs once you're back in the dugout. Doesn't matter how good your player you are, once you're back in the dugout, that's it. The only place you can affect the game is out there in the middle, so hang around. Enjoy the afternoon.
There's a lovely afternoon here, isn't it? In Leeds at this iconic venue for this great game of ours, as Beach bowls here to Boyce again, flirting with the tram line there, and will be giving us another wide. So 2 more extras to add off these last 2 deliveries.
And from a very selfish point of view, hang around a bit longer, because I've got to deal with the traffic on a Friday afternoon, which is not always a great time. So I'd like to leave it a bit later. So come on, girls, stretch this game out.
Well, anything can happen, can't it? In cricket, so volatile is the nature of this sport, as Boyce chips that over the top. Should be easily fielded there by Amy Wheeler, and indeed it is. Will just be another single to add to the tally. Yorkshire move on to 61 for 2.
And the biggest problem in women's cricket is, where do you put your fielders who are out? Do you put them all the way to the boundary? Or do you put them halfway between because if you're looking to take wickets, I don't mind players being out, but that bounced considerably before Wheeler there, so it wasn't going to be a wicket-taking ball.
Beach this time to Ward, tries to flick that around the corner for a dot ball, and it did catalyse the change in field placement there. Wheeler now up in the 25-yard circle and a fielder down at deep third on the boundary rope. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, won't we, what the approach is here from Maddie Ward and Georgie Boyce. Plenty of company here in that inner circle in case they want to take the aerial option. Nice use of the feet there from Maddie Ward, but again just dribbles up towards Amy Wheeler for no run. More conversations being had here as Claire Boycott, the Worcestershire captain, encourages her fellow fielders. Beach to Ward, rocks onto the back foot, trying to cut that one away. Only as far as tweets for yet another dot ball. It's been a really good over this from Jess Beach, backing up Bert Whistle quite marvellously so far.
Yeah, and it's some good field placings in the inner ring. You know, there's been a lot of shots that have gone straight to the fielders, which you'd be happy as a captain, because it means you've put the fielders in the right place. So credit to Claire Boycott for that.
That's a full toss. Can Wheeler get around? Yes, she can. She'll have a shot at the stumps. Beach wasn't there to disturb the timber. I think Ward was home anyway. In the end, it's a well-run single from the Yorkshire pairing. And that is also the end of over number 10. Yorkshire 62 for 2. The requirement 43 from the final 60 deliveries.
And there we had a really good example of, if you're hitting it down the ground and running as soon as you've hit it, even if the fielder picks it up, then it's very difficult to effect a run out. At this stage, Worcestershire Rapids were 55 for 3 and Yorkshire are 62 for 2. So that gives you an indication of the state of the game.
Ward utilising the footwork there. Just drops that down towards a wideish long on for the single. That's interesting, actually, that comparison. So, 7 runs between the two sides, and of course the extra wicket falling from a Worcestershire perspective. Just goes to show, doesn't it, the relentless pressure that Yorkshire were able to build with those dot balls and consistent wickets, as Birtwistle bowling here to Boyce again. Another dot ball. I mean, the run rate isn't anything too significant at this stage, still hovering around about 4.3 runs per over. Plenty of flight on that one. It's all about wickets here, and you can say that for both sides, of course. Worcestershire will be trying everything in their power to effect those additional dismissals, and for Yorkshire, it's just a case of playing the situation and being smart at this stage.
Yeah, and you look at, coming in next would be Campbell, who we've both seen flay the ball all around the pitch this season. Duckworth, Thomas, the list goes on. So there's confidence in the batting lineup as they hit that one out to mid-wicket for a single. That was Boyce who just worked that round. And Boyce is playing a little bit of a Claire Boycott role here, isn't she? She's playing that anchor role with 17 runs from 23 balls.
It's a really, really nice change up that from Flora Birtwistle. Just trying to zip that one through, bring the stumps into play, and that will catalyse the end of the 11th over. Yorkshire 64 for 2, with Boyce on 17 and Maddie Ward on 3 from 10.
Yeah, and both Beach and Birtwistle are bowling well at this stage, but they can't bowl the rest of the innings, and that's what you have to remind yourself as well, is that at some stage Worcestershire need another bowler. They've only bowled four bowlers at this stage, so they will need a fifth bowler to come on, and that is quite crucial at times.
Well, just to touch upon that, because we'll see Amy Wheeler bowling here from the Kirkstall Lane end. Ebony J. Tweets is a medium-pace bowler who likes to have the keeper up to the stumps. And we've seen a lot today that Yorkshire trying to utilise their footwork, meet the pitch of that delivery, whether it's been against pace, like we saw with Callis's dismissal, or against spin. I think that might be the next option here for Claire Boycott. Also got some more spin with Bryony Gilgrass with the right arm off breaks. Also likes to mix in the odd leg spinner in there as well. But for now, it's Amy Wheeler bowling here to Georgie Boyce. Slight bit of a misfield there from Tweets, but Gilgrass will scamper across. Means it will just be a dot ball.
Yeah, well, unless the fifth bowler is going to bowl 4 on the bounce, they're probably going to bowl 6 bowlers, because they're running out of overs to not bowl their fifth bowler.
That's a very interesting point, because you imagine the next one will be Birtwistle and then she'll be bowled out. Currently has those figures of 1 for 9 as Wheeler bowls and bowls her straight through the gates, and Georgie Boyce has to depart. Well, is there a twist in the tail here at Headingley? Some really disciplined bowling this from Amy Wheeler, bowling stump to stump, right through the middle of the defences. And Georgie Boyce, the Yorkshire opener, has to go for 17. That is a lovely dismissal for any seam bowler up and down the country. And Yorkshire now 64 for 3.
Yeah, it went straight through the gate there, as they say, between bat and pad, and a very good ball angled back into the right-hander, who had left quite a big gap between her bat and turned a bit square. You've always got to keep sideways. If you keep it sideways, you've got a chance of the bat coming through and connecting with that ball. But the minute you open your left shoulder, then that ball's going to, you're coming across your pad a little bit and leaving a gap between bat and pad. So a good wicket there from Wheeler, and as you say, 3 wickets now. There'll be a glimmer of hope for Worcestershire. as Amy Campbell comes out. Now this could be interesting because Amy Campbell left-hander, and it's often difficult to get the right line to a right-hander than a left-hander. So it'll be interesting to see how the bowlers go against a left-hander and right-hand combination. And Yorkshire will be wanting these two to stay out there for some time.
They certainly will, but this is going to be an interesting battle either way, because we all know how Amy Campbell plays. A very destructive, big-hitting, clean striker of the cricket ball. And you look at her campaign so far across formats, I mean, that extraordinary 165 not outs against Derbyshire in the One Day Cup, that immediately springs to mind as Wheeler bowls here to Campbell. Down the leg side, we'll start off with a wide. Then you look at the 30-ball 50 against Leicestershire up at York Cricket Club. An 18-ball 41 not outs against Derbyshire up at Harrogate in the T20 County Cup. And of course, in the T20 Blast, a 20-ball 43 not outs against the Falcons in the last game. So Campbell, as we know, can single-handedly swing the pendulum here. But that works both ways, because if Wheeler can get the big wickets, she bowls a nice short ball there. First time we've really seen that here at Headingley today. And in fact, it's too short. It's been given as a wide, so she'll have to bowl that again. But if Worcestershire can get Campbell out pretty early here for less than 10 runs, again, you'll see the body language. The Rapids will be up for this.
Yeah, they will. I think there'll still be a lot of confidence in the Yorkshire ranks, but you're absolutely right. The minute you start taking wickets, then the fielders start attacking the ball more. But at the moment, she's struggling for a line against the left-hander. We've just had 3 wides in a row there. 1 down leg side, 1 over her head, and 1 down the offside. So you'd hope that the next one will be fairly central, because she's gone everywhere except straight. And that's a shame, because she bowled that superb ball against Georgie Boyce and then is giving it away a little bit after that.
So a fine delivery that from Amy Wheeler, who, let's not forget, in that first over went for 10 runs, and since then, in the next 9 deliveries, 1 wicket and 5 runs conceded. So a really good riposte this. It's exactly why she was brought in to the Rapids fold. Of course, on loan from the Blaze. We're seeing that a lot here in Tier 2 with regards to those loans, a lot of season-long ones, across formats, across competitions. Great way for her to really expand her skill sets in the T20 format. That one has been picked up and hoiked away out towards deep backward square leg by Amy Campbell, and surprise, surprise, the Yorkshire number 5 getting off the mark with a boundary.
Yeah, and that's quite a typical shot from Amy Campbell, who doesn't die wondering. You know, she gives it everything. When she sees the ball to hit, then she's following through with the bat, and she followed through nicely on that one. I was concerned at one stage that it was going to the fielder out there, but that's a big area for the 2 fielders out at square and mid-wicket to cover, and Amy just rolled round on it far enough away from that square leg fielder. A little bit of manoeuvring in the field now. We've got a complete ring on the offside, and then a deep cover. But the fielders out are fine, square and mid-wicket. That's running down to the fine leg fielder for a single.
Yep, so Yorkshire moving on to 72 for 3. 1 more delivery remaining in this 12th over. 33 more required for the victory. A victory which would be a 4th successive one here in the North Group, and would put Yorkshire well and truly in a commanding position, with half of the campaign still to go in the group stages, to go on and qualify for those semi-finals. Some more changes here in the field. Gwen Davis is just pulled out from deep forward square leg to deep square leg.
Yeah, and this is the debate about right-handed, left-hander in there now. So they're always having to move whenever a single's taken.
So Wheeler to round out the over then. Some more footwork on display there from Maddie Ward. That one will be a dot ball to finish. So Yorkshire remains 72 for 3 after 12. Another fine over that from Amy Wheeler. And this now is the interesting conversation that we were having, Jane, because it won't be Burt Whistle. So Boycott's keeping her trump card up the sleeve for one more over. It will be Ebony Jade Sweets. With the medium pace, you'll see this right from the get-go. Liv Goff will put the helmet on. She'll be up to the stumps, maybe giving a little bit of chatter in the ears of the Yorkshire batters, and I like this. This is a very, very nice bit of captaincy. It's exactly why Tweets was brought in to this Worcestershire fold. It's something which he's done excellently for the Warwickshire Academy. We saw it in the T20 County Cup against Yorkshire when Staffordshire made the trip up to Wheatwood a little bit earlier on in the campaign, and in that game she didn't get a wicket, but very economic. Just went for 16 runs from her 4 overs.
Yeah, the only thing that Tweets has got to concern herself a little bit with here is she's bowling to the left-handed Campbell to the shorter side of the ground. So she can't afford to drop it short because we know that Amy Campbell can reach the seats very easily.
Well, first ball there from Tweets. It's just slashed out towards backward point for no run. Just looking at the scoreboard, it's saying Boycott is bowling, but it's definitely Ebony Jade Sweets because Boycott is in there.
It's up down.
There we go. In fairness, both of them were having a conversation. Boycott does bowl a little bit herself as Tweets here to Campbell. Think that will go down as a wide, and there's a misfield on top of it from Phoebe Brett, so will be another couple of runs to add to that tally for Yorkshire.
Interesting running between wickets there because it looked like they'd given up on just one, and then I think Maddie Ward called Amy Campbell through and said she's midfielded, so they ran 2, and that was a wide as well, so that certainly adds to the score.
Tweets then to Campbell. Campbell looks to muscle that through mid wickets down towards a wideish long on for 1 run.
Once you get under 30, it starts to tick down, or it appears when you're fielding to tick down quite rapidly, doesn't it, as they now just want 29 to win. And the field is continually moving because of the right-hand, left-hand combination. So you've got fielders coming in, fielders going out, and they're still moving around as third man, or Gully drops down to third man.
Tweets into bowl here to Ward and gets a little bit of shape there. Just ricochets off the gloves of Liv Goff.
Yeah, quite near to that blue line, the wide line, but well inside it, and that was a good ball from Tweets.
Very good ball indeed. Here she is then for the 4th time in the over. Ward goes a little bit more aerially on that one, and it's gone through. It's a misfield. I think it's Gwen Davis. Indeed it is. The ball going through the gap, and that is almost the nightmare scenario for Worcestershire at this stage. Just 25 to win now as Yorkshire move on to 80 for 3, and I'll tell you, that's a rarity. Gwen Davis is a fine fielder, effected a run out in the season opener from backward point, and just one of those rare lapses of concentration which on that occasion has unfortunately come to the detriment of the Rapids. Here is Tweets bowling here to Ward. That one drilled arrow straight. Will be another single.
And then we'll see the field all change again now as the left-handed Campbell is to face.
Shorter boundary as well on that leg side compared to the offside. Interesting to see though, still the majority of the Worcestershire outfielders on that onside, offering protection. That's a full toss, and that one has been walloped out towards the western terrace. Goodness gracious me, and to rub salt into the wounds, it's also been given as a no ball. So Yorkshire really beginning to put the foot on the accelerator here. And of course, because it was a no ball, there will be no change allowed in the field either. However, there has been a change here in the commentary box as Dr. Jane Powell departs, and I'm joined once again by the brilliant Michael McCann. So let's wait and see what Amy Campbell has in store for us on this free hit. It's tweet to Campbell. Campbell goes for the reverse. That was audacious, and in the end, it will be a dot ball. So Yorkshire 86 for 3. They require just 19 runs for victory here at Headingley.
I tell you what, if you were playing at a club ground or even some of the outgrounds that Yorkshire have played at this season, and you drove up to the ground a couple of hours before start time and you knew that Amy Campbell was on the team sheet, and you parked your car even remotely closely to the particularly accessible boundaries from square leg through to a sort of wide mid-on, it really would be that. You can't park there, mate. Don't do that. You might as well just get on the phone to an automotive dealer such as Vertu and pre-book in the fact that you're going to need a repair for the inevitable damage that will come from the sixes that she will hit. As speaking of cricketing excellence, Dr. Jane Powell heads off to speak to some Yorkshire members about what is turning into Yorkshire seeing this home with relative comfort, but it hasn't always been a comfortable chase. Speaking of uncomfortable, Ward looks a little uncomfortable there. Should see it through now with a bit of time to spare, and it's also important that Yorkshire tick off the 5th point that you can get for doing it with 25% of the overs spares. That's pancake flipped around the corner by Ward. She loves that shot. She loves using the pace behind square either side of the wicket. It's her best scoring areas, and it brings her 4, and she makes it look so easy, and it's definitely not.
No, it isn't. That is not an easy shot at all, but it's what all good wicket keepers do in the modern game. Those little flicks and tricks and scoops and ramps, and she is an excellent cricketer and a fine batter. Of course, had a great day with the gloves as well with those sharp catches. Here is Gilgrass again to Ward, gives that a bit more flight, and that one just pumped down the ground for a single. It has been mightily impressive though, hasn't it, this, Michael, in terms of the, I'd almost say, I wouldn't say disciplined as such, because the batting at times has been more than that. It's been ruthless, hasn't it, from Yorkshire, but also calculated after the power play.
Yeah, Winfield Hill set the tone, but Boyce didn't quite find the fluidity that she'd have wanted, but Ward and Campbell have, as these two will do if they're in for more than about 2.5 minutes, will inevitably start to tick things on. I think the only game I've seen Ward that remotely stuck for a period of time this season was when she fought out a score against Leicestershire at York, where she got 41 off 74. Apart from that, she's a very quick scorer. And Campbell, I can tell you without even checking the stats, is Yorkshire's fastest scorer this season by a mile. Is they're going to get 3 there. And one thing you've got to say that will be on the work on list for Worcestershire is the fielding. It's been a noticeable difference between these two sides, and they do say that fielding is often a sense of the soul of a team. Heading towards a 4th straight defeat. Yorkshire heading towards a 4th straight win, and well, Ward loves it there on the reverse. And quite frankly, until teams start setting better fields for Maddie Ward, she often isn't having to go to necessarily a plan B.
No, that's a really, really fine shot, that, from Maddie Ward. Just knew exactly where the fielders were. Of course, they had tweets in and around that circle, but she wasn't exactly fine. She wasn't up in the ring at 3rd, but the execution of that, I mean, it is just Maddie Ward to a T, and the more that we see of her, the more confidence that she's getting. You can see there's a real rhythm in her batting, and that is another one to add to the ever-growing collection of fine and magnificent cricket shots that Maddie possesses in the locker.
She's on to 18 with that single. She keeps the strike, 6 to win, so she has the chance to hit the winning runs as a captain at Headingley for the 2nd time this season. She's already done that against Leicestershire. There's no feeling quite like that as a captain I mean, obviously there's an elation that comes with doing it in a slightly more clutch moment in the game scenario. It's great to see some young'uns getting the afternoon off school to come watch the cricket. That's the kind of education we can get behind. Some Yorkshire women's stars of the future being inspired by the stars of the present. Fantastic to see. Now, does Ward fancy finishing it in style? Because she's got to hit towards a big leg side boundary here, which doesn't put the odds in her favour. She's charging down the pitch and then almost theatrically deciding that's not the delivery. So she's going to just block that and have another look. Goes on the reverse, and that is stopped by short third. I just lose track of what fielding positions are these days behind square. There's such an array of shots going on. The one people often forget about as well is the way the LBW law gets interpreted in that situation.
It is interesting you say that, of course, because it was still on the offside, wasn't it, there for Maddie Ward? But because she went on the reverse, it was a very audacious shot, that. But Amy Campbell now, I think the eyes will be lighting up with regards to that hit out towards the Western Terrace. There
we go. It's not going to go for 6 and won't also go for 4. Nice tidy bit of work means it's kept to 1. Campbell, it's worth saying as well, in getting to 12 today. It's gone past 400 runs for Yorkshire this season. The vast majority of those in the kind of almost like domination that I've not really seen many times of an individual team as Ward goes down the ground. This won't quite be the game. Have come against Derbyshire. It's quite an extraordinary run that. Amy Campbell this season has scored just the 249 runs against Derbyshire without getting out from facing 153 deliveries. But there's some interesting quotes from her talking about feeling like she's given it away in 3 other T20 games where sides haven't had to get her out, she's got herself out. It's an article worth reading on the Yorkshire website with Graham Hardcastle. She also said that I'd still want to be doing better than I am. There are some great players at this level, but I think maybe just lacking depth in regards to what she's seen from elsewhere in Tier 2. The first 4 batters against us have been good across the board, but I feel like at Yorkshire our strength is we bat all the way through. As Campbell goes on the sweep, and we'll get 1. 2 to win. Campbell adding we had Jess Woolston batting at 11 at Derby on Saturday, and watching her in the net, so I'd have her down as an all-rounder. Also talked about the fact that the loss against Worcestershire here gave Yorkshire, in her words, a kick up the bum to not be too complacent. Well, I think today Yorkshire will feel like they've put that particular head-to-head right. Now they're trying to finish it in style. Ward this time will get 1. Very ironic that these two that tend to be such prolific boundary hitters are very calmly knocking off these last few in singles. It's not the bet that you would have necessarily taken about how they go about it, but it's thoroughly professional nonetheless. So 5 overs left, and it is we're into performative cricket. It's 1 to win. It's Ward and Campbell quite rightly not wanting to disturb their batting averages and having the satisfaction of walking off the field having finished it off.
Oh, most definitely, and it's what Yorkshire deserve, to be honest. They have been the better of the 2 sides today. They were ever so disciplined with the bowling. You mentioned about the ground fielding. It was irresistible, wasn't it? It was unrelenting in terms of the pressure with which they provided in that first innings. And yeah, since then we saw some fireworks up top from Winfield Hill and some good sensible batting from Boyce, Ward and Campbell. So a thoroughly professional display this for the White Rose.
1 to win. This will be it unless there's a direct hit, which there will not be. So that is that. Yorkshire win by 7 wickets with 29 balls to spare. It is comprehensive revenge for losing to these very same opponents by 114 runs back in April in their season opener. But in T20 cricket, it's been a completely different story today. Yorkshire go 4 wins from 4 now in the North Group and really are stretching clear in pole position at the top as they chase a spot at finals day. in the last weekend of July in Northampton. Meanwhile, Worcestershire remain winless in the T20 format. It's 10 wins from 12 for Richard Pyewood and Lauren Winfield-Hill's Yorkshire side across this season. Albeit great credit to Maddie Ward, vice-captain, but she now has 4 wins from 4 as skipper.
Yep, absolutely outstanding from Yorkshire. It's been a wonderful start to the campaign, and this today, it does almost banish those demons, doesn't it, from the season opener. I mean, since then, that first defeat, they've only lost once in 11 matches, and that was to a Tier 1 side. That was to the Bears in the T20 County Cup. They've not lost in the One Day Cup since then, and of course, they're still unbeaten in the North Group here in the Vitality T20 Blast. So you just look around there, this was a thoroughly complete, clinical, and most importantly, a team display. I mean, so many different contributions. You look at Fackrell, Slater with the ball in hand, Claudie Cooper getting those late couple of wickets to really just restrict the target in the end. And we've already spoken about the batters with the likes of Winfield Hill and Boyce, Campbell, Ward as well. I mean, this is a performance which Yorkshire can look back on with great pride, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting. Amy Campbell said obviously that loss was really hurtful at the time. We want to go out there and show them what we can do, but when it comes down to it, we've got to focus on ourselves, because I think we can beat anyone. It's eyes on the prize sort of thing, and Yorkshire certainly right now have their eyes firmly on the prize of that T20 competition. It's worth noting that Rachel Slater, who's known for being pretty straight talking, said quite simply, we've built up some good momentum. We're not going to be happy if we do anything less than win it. So fighting talk from Yorkshire, and it's being matched on the pitch right now. In terms of the run chase, Yorkshire were always with the upper hand. There was a little bit of concern from a Yorkshire point of view when Winfield Hill, Callis and Boyce went, but ultimately that power-packed middle order just had far too much, aided by some extras, 12 wides, 14 extras in total, which will be a frustration for Worcestershire. Lauren Winfield-Hill top scoring with 33 off 25. Boyce a little slow with 17 off 25. And then Ward with 22 unbeaten off 24. And Campbell finishing things off with 15 off 10. Thank you very much to Grace Hall and Dr. Jane Powell, as well as Aaron Vars, alongside yours truly, Michael McCann. It's been great to have your company wherever you've been across the world on this Vertu live stream. Vertu giving us the opportunity to present to you live coverage of every Yorkshire men's and women's home game. Don't forget, there is plenty of cricket going on at the moment. It feels almost relentless, the fixture list, because the men's Yorkshire side drew with Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge, but are back in action on Sunday against Essex at York. Meanwhile, the women are also playing on Sunday. They're away at the Northamptonshire Steelbacks, looking to make it 5 wins from 5. Our next Vertu live stream from a Yorkshire home game will be on Friday the 4th of July, when the men take on the Worcestershire Rapids. But remember, there's also the double header coming not too far away on Sunday the 13th of July. The women play at home against the Northamptonshire Steelbacks, and then a few hours later, also at Headingley, the Derbyshire Falcons are in town. For now though, fantastic to have your company wherever you've been across the world. Yorkshire, your winners here by 7 wickets with 29 balls to spare. For now, from Headingley, it's goodbye.
Vertu, official partner of Yorkshire County Cricket Club.